Welcome, everybody, to the Breachers Season 4 EU VRML Final Four. My name's Nightfire with two E's. I'm joined by my co-caster, Plague, Dr. Plague. We're diving into some top-tier action at the start of our morning, but maybe the end of the afternoon for these players over in the EU region. Acer EU and Sunset Ravens.
I am extremely excited for this matchup, Nightfire. We've been keeping track of the, even though on the NA side, I've been keeping some track of the EU side, and they've had an interesting season with some player change-ups. I think Acer has picked up some players from a few other teams that's going to give them an edge over a lot of these teams. You know, they're up, I believe, 20 MMR over any other team. It's going to take some work for Sunset Ravens to get this victory on.
Yeah, we saw Sunset Ravens play, of course, both these teams play over the course of what has been a multi-weekend postseason, and ultimately at the end of the day, we've eliminated. What is the number? Let me get them back it up here. We've eliminated Underdogs, Ragnarok, EU, Chaotic, and Niffen so far from the top 8 of the EU region. And it's been a long, road to get here, right? We do look at that matchup history. You do talk about rosters changing, but Acer EU 9-3 on the record, coming around as a team since season 2. Sunset Ravens a little bit of a tougher overall season record, 6-6, but still sitting there at 4th place. The last time these two teams played, they went 14-7 in favor of Acer EU. So I am very interested to see how this is going to shape up now, because like you said, things have changed a little bit over the course of those, 14 weeks of regular season play, and rosters are a little bit different now. So are we going to see Sunset Ravens locking in this weekend, or is it going to be sort of the, I think, fan favorite and maybe the community favorite Acer EU?
It's going to be interesting. I mean, additionally, just looking at the performance in the quarterfinals, we saw Acer EU taking a dominant victory over Underdogs, 14-2. Meanwhile, Sunset Ravens taking down Ragnarok, 14-11. Acer EU's put up a very, very good game so far, but we could see Sunset Ravens getting this back. I want to see what maps we're going to take down. We could see, I'm not quite sure what the map bans are, unfortunately. I don't believe we got those, but honestly, I don't think we're seeing Mall, but I think Arctic, I think Dam, I think Factory are going to be big contenders, and Hideout is always in that pool. Map choice is going to be really important for which team is going to take this down, because some teams are comfortable in other maps, and it feels like Acer EU, along with their NA counterpart, are really, really good at Hideout. Might not be the best choice for Sunset Ravens to not ban that.
Yeah, we are seeing now, if they do stick with this, Dam has been selected and is Acer EU's #1 map on their matchup history. So that's going to be a tough opener for Sunset Ravens. Maybe, if anything, you just got to weather the storm into your second map pick, and then hopefully have that third map pick be an even playing ground. I think Ship, certainly something where Sunset Ravens may be able to separate themselves from Acer EU this afternoon. So we'll have to see, but this is our first of 2 series that we are playing out today because we are into the semifinals of this bracket. So again, you look at our semifinals bracket. It's Acer EU and Sunset Ravens to start the afternoon in a best of 3, and then IV versus Valiants EU coming up immediately after this series finishes. So for EU, we have 2 best of 3s that should deliver and pretty high octane action. I'm very much excited for what we're getting into as we do just do a quick side swap between Acer and Sunset Ravens. So Acer will be starting defense, and Sunset Ravens will be starting attack. But I think Dam is locked in, and I do think we're heading there, Plague. So I look forward to the IV Valiants EU matchup, but we'll save our analysis for that one when it comes, which should be shortly after this one, because I do think we are just a few minutes away from diving in here. And so, you know, I think maybe we can put a poll out in chat. We can get the community perspective on where how these folks think they're going to turn out this afternoon. But I think I'm personally going to lean Acer EU on this series to open up the day. I think they're a team destined for the finals. Where do you land on our best of 3 this afternoon?
Well, when looking at it, Nightfire, I think overall I am betting on Acer EU. No money, obviously, but Acer EU winning this. But I think an important thing here is that I think it's going to be a nail-biting 3 mapper. What do you think? You know, I think it's going to be pretty much a, you know, Acer EU takes 1, and then Sunset Ravens clutches out the 2nd, and then Acer EU gets the 3rd. What do you think it's just going to be a 2-map sweep?
Yeah, it's going to be tough to say. I think if it does happen, it is going to be a clutch map 2 win or something like that from Sunset Ravens. We are just waiting for a 5th to populate in for that team, and then we should be jumping into the action. So we do apologize on the delay. But yeah, I do think that's going to be tough. I'm leaning more 2-0 here because I feel like if you look at how Acer EU did against underdogs, you know, that was a pretty dominant performance. The separation, of course, in seasonal ladder ranking, much different there. You know, you're looking at seed 1 versus seed 8, and as of today, it's seed 1 versus seed 4 with Sunset Ravens. So I think it's going to be a team a little bit more familiar with Acer EU, whereas the underdogs maybe weren't necessarily ready for that sort of Acer EU aggression. And on a map like Dam, I imagine these teams have scrimmed here, so I'm anticipating Sunset Ravens to put up a good fight. But I think this is positioned to start very well for Acer EU, as we are ready and waiting to dive into our first map of the afternoon and our first best of 3 in the semifinals of the EU Season 4 VRML regular season. It is Dam to kick us off here, and I'm happy to get what is arguably a newer map showcased here this afternoon. Obviously, I think, yeah, the newest map, right? No, we would have Maul would be the newest map.
Maul,
yeah,
yes.
Maul would be the newest map. But it is just so great to have a consistent drop of maps season to season from the Triangle Factory devs. That's one thing they really do well, is provide consistent content updates to this game. And I think one thing we've definitely talked about a lot of, one big change, if you haven't tuned in a couple of weekends, is flashbangs, and I anticipate to see a lot of them here today.
Oh, we're going to see a lot of flashbangs, especially, you know, there's been a bit of a controversial thing in the community with the flashbangs because they implemented the bundles, which means you buy 1 flashbang, and then you really have 2. They stack up on your chest, which some people like it, some people don't, because it lets you get a lot more flashbangs than you normally would be able to. We'll see how it works out here. I'm expecting to see quite a few of them. Drone going through with the Acer players, trying to take it down pretty carefully. They're not exposing themselves to the door. Meanwhile, the Sunset Ravens players are just kind of letting the drone go through, just getting any information they can, while Mike is watching the door. We do have a top floor roam down to the stairs from Desander and Tonico, trying to go for a bit of a flank onto the Acer EU players, but it looks like VR Zeta is watching the stairs, is checking it just in case. They need to have their gun up if they want to take down these players. They just barely don't hit the info peak. Now Zeta might get caught off guard by the double stack from Tonico and Desander. A good info peek will give them a good information. Desander does push out, gets taken down, but not before taking Wallbang Will down to 1 health. Going to be up to Tonico to get the refrag. He does, with the also recently buffed Cyclone. But Terrence and Tabs now trying to get some good kills off on the remaining 2 Sunset Ravens players. Acer putting a dominant showing out, already taking out multiple folks, and before the flash goes off, that is Acer EU claiming round 1 on Dam.
Yeah, shutting Sunset Ravens down from entering in even to the general area of the site. A tough opener for them for sure, but also picking up 2 kills is nice for Sunset Ravens. They're on the board to some degree, and we'll see if they can kind of keep that energy going into these middle rounds where we do get the SMGs rolling out. A bit of a standard buy, I would argue, from both sides, but I just love to see the, again, you know, we talk about, if you haven't tuned in a while, maybe you tuned in last postseason, you know, we didn't even have a like a midpoint of the game. You know, we didn't have this medium buy where you would pick up SMGs and play 2 to 3 rounds with, you know, partially equipped kits. It was mostly eco into full buys of rifles, but because updates and tenuous care from Triangle Factory, this game just continues to provide all sorts of fun competitive esports action. And you know, now when we get into these mid rounds, I feel like there's so much more entertaining to watch with the SMGs in play.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that I wanted to talk about before with Triangle Factory. They're giving consistent content updates, and especially since they're working on their new game that's going to be coming out in the coming year, Forefront. They're working on Breachers as well at the same time. I'm very glad that they're devoting time to both games as we're allowing, you know, Breachers to continually get updated and have hot fixes. We had a hot fix released, I believe, today, Nightfire. It's going to be interesting.
That would be why I don't have the API working.
Yes, that's what, yeah.
We apologize for the lack of minimap this afternoon, but it's, we did our best. We had an update go out this morning, but then they hotfixed after our API update, so we do apologize. But anyway, manual scorekeeping this afternoon, which is fine. Something I'm not familiar with enough as we do get into round 2. The action starting to unfold. The flashbangs coming into the back line. Tonico catches one. Another kill from both sides across the board here as the entry comes in.
We saw actually one of the defenders holding a lit grenade, and Mike didn't realize was standing directly on top of it. Didn't even see that it was primed, which allowed the Acer EU stack to pick up another kill. Now, with both Acer players at full health and also holding on to some SMGs, it's going to be a difficult situation for the Sunset Ravens players. However, they do have a stim. Tactical can heal up as long as they wait for the stim to recharge. Zeta and Pixel player playing pretty patiently. They're not quite sure where these players are going to come in. They're spreading out between the 2 points. One thing with Dam that we see is that Dam has extremely big points, probably some of the biggest we've seen in the game, other than maybe Maul. These players can enter in from basically anywhere and not really be seen. Now we're seeing that again. Tactical is opening up the vent, but 40 seconds left on the clock. Tactical and Bewares need to meet up, be able to play their numbers, as Acer EU is not playing their numbers. They only have one on each point, which is going to get numbers advantage for the Sunset Ravens players and possibly getting them to the next round.
Interesting sort of hold coming in here from the SR squad. The time is ticking down, so they've waited to these final seconds to push a site where Pixel player is going to try and swing and shuts down the EMP plant. Tactical pan flies out. Can't find the double kill. Zeta survives, but just barely. With 20 HP, he'll be the only one standing on the floor, and round 2 ends pretty excitingly, but ultimately impacting both teams pretty harshly. That's everyone losing their SMG investment, and Acer, I guess, are okay with the win bonus coming in, but Sunset Ravens definitely stings to lose those SMGs.
Yeah, but that's the only thing. We've seen this a bit of a, I don't know, an ideal shift in the community. A lot of the times before, when the rifles were 2,900, we'd see players immediately buy rifles, immediately buy anything like that. But now, I'm almost saying that it's going to be worse to just get rifles, just because if you lose this round, you're losing out on all of your economy. You can see they're now only in triple digits rather than up in the thousands over on the Acer EU side. But that is also an ideals thing where, you know, they're saying, all right, we're up on money, we're up on rifles, up on everything else. We can try to really just clutch this out and get a good lead going, but they're sacrificing utility to do it. And we're in a util dump meta overall. It's going to be rough. It's going to be real rough for these Acer EU players to contend with the util over on the Sunset Ravens side.
Drone work coming in from Tactical Pan. SS general area. Won't find a whole lot as Bewares and Mike pull their way into sight. That static emitter going to slow them down a touch, and then obviously Terrence on this front line out here getting aggressive, putting shots through the wall, trying to push them away from even pushing through this front door. This is a very forward Acer defense here. They're really trying to deny even a little bit of advancement. It's a beautiful nade to back of Mike 10, just takes a little bit of their health down and doesn't quite find the kill.
Now Tabs still holding it down with the Marui, holding these players inside security. They can't really get out. Whereas trying to get some shots off some pre-fires, can't quite get any hits down. Both players just kind of playing chicken with each other. But now trying to peek out, Tabs takes down Mike D10, getting the retribution for his nade as Pixel holds down the hallway as well. Tabs still in a dangerous situation, but not too bad. He may move up and get a little too aggressive as Tactical is up on the window. We're seeing a bit of a shootout from Terrence and Desander as well. Over on the A side door, these players are split up. It's going to split up the offense, but not really the defense. Now trying to push out of the security wall. Desander throwing the foam to his teammate, but there's an incend going out. Bewares takes down Tabs as he gets a little too aggressive on the push, gets taken out. That is now numbers advantage belonging to Sunset Ravens, but health advantage still belongs to Acer.
This Acer defense seems a little bit split on where they should hold things down as Terrence finds one over the top on the initial breach. It's a 4v3 initially, but now a 3v3. Sunset Ravens trying to find their way in through this defensive wall. 40 seconds left. Shot in the back and the front. Tactical Pan and Tonico pinching that defensive extension out that was over-aggressive from Acer. Now the duo tucking back in, getting naded on the back line.
That was an odd push from Pixel. He climbed over the border, and that kind of left him out in the open. Terrence now pushes out, gets the 2K, going for the 3, but gets taken down by Tactical, but EMP's down on the wall with 20 seconds left. Wallbang Will can control this play now. He can wait and wait until the EMP starts getting primed. Wallbang just waiting it out as Tactical decides to stick the plant. Wallbang running out, then back in, trying to psych out Tactical. Tactical knows he just has to stick this EMP. Wallbang waits a little too long, gets peeked out on, but takes down Tactical regardless. That is Acer EU barely clutching up this third round of the series, Nightfire. We're already 3 rounds up, but it looks like Sunset Ravens, getting some rifles in their hands, are putting some good work in, and they have done some pretty good damage to Acer's economy. All of those players with rifles are now dead, and they can't get rifles again other than Terrence.
This is a pretty big advantage around on economy, actually, for Sunset Ravens because they took everyone out. It goes a long way for them. And you may have noticed that they started with SMGs, but they were ending that round with the Marui in hand because Acer fully invested but got over-aggressive. They lost Pixel very early out in the middle of that defense. So that's a rifle into the hands of the enemy very early into that round, and that translates into more kills in the later ends of round 3. So, you know, the risk-reward, getting over-aggressive, certainly can get you kills. You can deny entry into sight like they did in the pistol round, like they did in round 2, but it has its risks that we're seeing being exposed a little bit by Sunset Ravens there. A nice job, a nice effort on their eco round with the SMGs, but again, this is a big buy for Sunset Ravens and a big opportunity for them. They can they kind of need to have actually a couple stay alive through this next round too, so they really can't afford to have like a 1v1 at the end of this round either. So, you know, we'll have to see how round 4 goes for them, but Sunset Ravens seem to be waking up just a little bit to me.
Yeah, trying to take down the drone. Terrence and Tabs again, just inside. Long Haul do take out the drone early, but Beware is pushing in with the Marui, hoping to get some early kills off. And able to go out, hit Beware's just a bit, giving Tabs some good info, but can't exactly info peek out just because of the amount of gunfire being poured down the hallway. He's going to very quickly be flanked on one of the sides because Tonico and Desander both want to push in. Meanwhile, Zeta and Wallbang Will are holding it down. Some good entry denial from the Acer EU side. They're just trying to block off these players from even stepping foot in the building. Unfortunately, they do not stop Beware's from pushing in. He's hoping to get some kills off with an incendiary as well as a Marui, now claiming some ground. Tabs may get flanked out by Desander and Tonico. They're just trying to probe the defense. As Tabs pushes out, takes down one, but gets taken out by Beware's in return. Terrence pouring some shots down range, gets flanked out. Now that is 2 players down, 3 players down. For the Acer EU stack, it is Sunset Ravens against an Acer 2 stack, but with Wallbang about to come through the smoke. Will he get taken out by Desander?
Too much defensive pressure here that just gets absolutely shut down by Sunset Ravens, and exactly what they need to have happen happens here. Pixel, Plague, they get 4 alive, all carrying their rifle investment from the round before through. They had almost no money after they spent all of them, so they really had to make sure that they had weapons going into this next round. And now their economy is in perfect shape. Acer are full buying here. A loss here I don't think gives them enough to full buy in round 6. They'll have a partial buy most likely, or at least have limited utility and rifle buys in round 6 if they lose here. So another big opportunity for Sunset Ravens to bounce back. They could very well take a 3-3 half here off of what was just a great entry, and again, kind of what feels like an over-aggressive Acer EU defense. They're really extending pretty far outside of their objective space, and ultimately allowing those picks to come through.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of utility really on the Sunset Raven side. I'm seeing quite a bit of defensive utility and offensive utility on the Acer side. They're really just trying to play the long con here, as Tactical is up on top. He's going to be droning through for his team, but it looks like it's a bit of a distraction, as the rest of his team looks to be foaming up the wall, pushing towards B. Wallbang, Will, and Pixel Player both going to be holding it down, as well as VR Zeta in Bathroom, with his Xander taking out Tabs very early from the wall breach. Is going to be a fantastic numbers advantage for the Sunset Raven side. Now Zeta trapped in the Bathroom, can't really escape to go back to point, so it looks like with Tonico trying to take advantage of it. They could dump some util in the Bathroom, take out Zeta, give himself a 2-person number advantage, but is it really worth it to dump that much money and trying to take out one player? Zeta getting pushed in. It looks like they've decided it's worth it as he gets flashed out. If he takes down one player, it's a good trade. He takes down one. That's a good numbers trade, but that leaves his team in a bit of a disadvantage. Tactical Pan is alone. He might think about wall breaching. The rest of his team trying to push in from the wall. They don't quite know where the rest of the Acer EU players are, as Pixel Player is waiting very patiently inside the B point. What is the plan for the Acer EU stack? They're pretty spread out currently, but they don't have much of a choice, as Sunset Ravens is as well.
Yeah, I feel like A, obviously from our perspective, the more defended side. B, a little bit more open, a little bit longer range, a little bit more lending itself into the rifle sort of kit that they do have, but Pixel also brandishing a rifle there as well, and Terrence finding Tactical Pan over at A site with the audio transmitter, giving away the double kill for Pixel Player. It absolutely goes wrong for Sunset Ravens. The nade to the backline. Tonico tries to push forward, but Pixel finds the third.
Pixel with the 3K to clutch out the round, Nightfire. I don't know if you saw that nade. It was masterful, directly between his feet.
Oh yeah, really nice follow-up off of, again, this read. After they hear the audio cues behind them, they turn around with the audio transmitter, pick up the double kill, then the nade comes up and over, catches the third. I think they also caught the shots on with their rifle, but either way, a 1-2 punch from Pixel that absolutely shuts down Sunset Raven. And because they won that last round so strong, Sunset Ravens do have enough on eco to full buy here. Interestingly enough, because Acer aren't getting a consecutive loss bonus, they are having to spend almost all of their money, but I think they're okay on the economy. 4 wins obviously puts you in an okay spot, and so they are going to be pretty well kitted out on utility, and obviously, also obviously, I'm wondering why their oral is getting picked up there when I'm sure one of them could have bought a Marui. But either way, 2 orals actually.
Well, it's because Acer EU won that last round. They only can have 2 Orils, because remember, they need some utility.
Yeah.
They can't just go into this with no utility, especially if the other side can get a lot of flashes. And we're seeing that again also happening on the Sunset Raven side. I believe Mike D10 bought down to a Viper so he could supply the rest of his team with any amount of utility they can get. They need both a rifle advantage, but also they need a utility advantage. They can't just go into this blind. Terrence takes out the drone. That's an immediate $200 down, but Terrence is taken out in return by a fantastic wallbang from Beware's. Mike takes out VR Zeta, who was on the back line. Wallbang Will is alone, holding down the point. Meanwhile, Tactical is holding the window. Tabs takes out Beware's with a fantastic nade into security. Nearly takes out Mike as well. Even only got the numbers a bit, but Mike is still barely clutching on to his 5 health. Sunset Ravens is still on numbers advantage, but not by much.
Not by much. They do have health syringes available, so that HP disadvantage for Mike should go back up soon enough. It's a matter of timing now, though. With a minute 30 left, eventually they'll have to push site, and Pixel continue to rotate between A and B. Tabs putting out some shots a little bit outside of B site, a little risky considering only 3 are left alive, but Acer EU is confident and not afraid to extend out even in their final round of the half. And they're down a player.
Now, Desander looking to push up towards the wall breach. He does not have foam, unfortunately, so he can't quite breach through the wall. Mike is holding on to the foam in security, hoping to maybe blow the side wall. Wallbang Will holding a fantastic angle onto the A door is might take down Mike if they get a little too impatient, really, with their push-up. Some wallbangs going out, don't quite get any hits off. As the wall is about to get blown into the 8 point, it's going to get tabs down immediately through the doorway. Wallbang Will trying to throw in some utility to block off the push as Mike thinks about going for the plant, but actually peeks straight in, takes down one. It is now just Wallbang Will holding his team off from a 5-1 deficit. Sorry, from a 4-2 rather than a 5-1, and it looks like Mike D10 finishes out the win. That is going to be a 4-2 lead for Acer EU heading into the switch. Not that bad of a situation on either side. This is definitely still winnable for the Sunset Raven stack.
Yeah, it's a nice start for Acer for sure. They're up 4-2, and they're certainly capable of putting 3 rounds on the board, but in comparison with the side swap here, Sunset Raven's going on the defense. I gotta wonder if we are going to see... I mean, I guess... I don't wonder too much. I kind of anticipate to see a pretty strong Acer EU offense. Just again, reading into the matchup history, this is Acer's #1 map with a 71% win rate. 49 rounds played, and to me that indicates that they've got a pretty strong half of something, right? They're very good on one side or the other, or both, quite frankly, to be able to have that kind of a strong win rate here. So a 4-2 offensive half or defensive half is pretty good, but they could have a 3-0 clean sweep here on the offense. We could be done with this map 1 in short work.
Yeah, because that's something that we saw last time, is that Sunset Ravens didn't start really getting any momentum until they picked up some rifles. So if the Acer stack can get some quick wins off, it might give them enough momentum to just continue on into the 7-2 sweep. Tabs hoping to push up with Mike on the flank. Tabs not getting hit too bad. I did go AFK for a second, but Mike did not choose that moment to push up, thankfully. As Zeta checking the back line, so is Tabs. We do have multiple roams from the Sunset Raven stack, which could work out, but there's pretty staunch flank watch, really, from the Acer side. Tactical hoping to push down towards the wall. As long as VR Zeta keeps watching this staircase, they'll pick up a pretty early pick.
Yeah, and it's almost like, where is the defense? We're not finding anyone on site, so that means they have to be hitting us for a flank soon. And so everyone's looking at their flank right now, waiting for these rotations to come. A big dive out the outside window for 1 kill, leading into 2. No, the incendiary, but big damage done. Desander swings out. They'll go down to Wallbang Will with a double. And a little bit of chaos that settles in with Beware's alone in a 1v3, but I don't know, HP-wise, pretty even.
Say, HP-wise, he really only has to hit Tabs and Wallbang Will once, and he just needs a single headshot on Terrence to finish this out, but Tabs is on the wall breach. Bewares has no idea where they are. Tabs has a very good angle here, as long as Bewares doesn't see his knee. He doesn't see it, and Tabs doesn't take down Bewares. Bewares pushing up to the stairs, checks the wrong staircase. Will sees him, but doesn't shoot at him, still saving himself. Now pushing up with Terrence pushing in behind. There's a potential for a clutch from Bewares. Terrence needs to move a little quicker. And Terrence takes down Bewares, giving the Acer stack a 5-2 lead. But that was nearly a fantastic clutch from Bewares if he just got the headshot off. Well done from the Sunset Raven stack. They nearly got that round off.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right. The clutches... I think, map 1 maybe likely going to go Acer EU. Map 2 maybe going to be Sunset Ravens on a clutch. I think the clutches are really going to be what Sunset Raven is going to need here. A lot of, quite frankly. They're going to need to have some big plays consistently enough to overwhelm Acer EU, and that is not obviously an easy task when you're going up against the #1 seed in the region, who's been 9-3 on the regular season record. This team very strong, coordination, strong overall organization as well. Acer, a brand that I think just announced their Orion Drift team as well, so they're a team that's going to be essentially in every competitive VR esports space, and when they do enter into the competitive VR esports space, they're typically at the top. So it's just an overall powerful franchise at the end of the day that the Sunset Ravens squad's going up against, and that is going to take, again, consistent clutch plays from this squad, which I do think they're capable of executing on in this postseason.
Yeah, I've talked to one of the folks who handles the Acer Orion Drift team, and they've been picking up some good players. I believe they just took over one of the top teams for Orion Drift, or one of the teams up there on the leaderboard. They're trying to get up into it, but regardless, right now, talking about Breachers, they're going down a lot of health on the Sunset Raven side. Beware's already getting pushed in on, trying to get some free fires off. Does get taken out by Tabs. This is nearly a flawless from the Acer EU stack. It is just Tonico and Mike against a 6-2 lead for Acer. Terrence hoping to push up, get some kills. He needs to be a little more patient with the smoke. If he can just wait for Mike to get revealed, if he tries to go through the smoke. Smoke goes down. Tonico hoping to go upstairs and get some cheeky picks off, with Terrence just waiting for Mike just in case. It's not looking good for the Sunset Raven stack. Right now, they're holding on to a Viper and an Omen with not much money to work with. I almost Nightfire would save at this time, or try to take down at least one player. Mike takes down one. At this point, I'm up. I get them down a player. I get them down a good bit of health. I might just back off at this point and hope they chase me and take them out one at a time.
I think that's what the duo here is doing. They're stacked up off of site. They're not pushing in for that retake, and it's going to be a round loss, and it's do or die, really. So it's why they're ecoing here, because they cannot afford to lose any more rounds from here on out. So they need to have their strongest foot forward going into round 9, and quite frankly, they're not going to be able to have their strongest foot forward. They brought 2 SMGs through so that they have utility, because at the end of the day, you have to spend everything you own on this round, and if you are in Sunset Ravens position right now. And so it makes sense then to have those 2 players that ecoed their SMGs through to get all the utility for your squad and help them be fully kitted for, or help your defense at least be fully kitted for the round, because you really got to slow Acer down. That's going to be the big thing, is that if there's no utility to slow him down, Acer's just going to keep steamrolling on these offensive rounds.
Yeah, and Acer has all the time in the world here. They can get just some interesting plays off. That's something that I think a lot of teams take advantage of. You're up this many rounds, you can just buy and buy and buy and buy. Even if you get to OT, you'll be up a lot of points most likely because of this dominant lead. Now Acer hoping to maybe push through hatch, and not a lot in security. I don't see Terrence pushing through security, and I don't see a lot of defensive utility in security from the Sunset Raven stack. They're more covering the hatches as well as on A. Now Terrence coming through on security. They didn't have a drone. Now drone goes through. Mike does take down one drone. Nearly gets taken down by a cheeky shot from Wallbang and Terrence, but doesn't quite. Pushing back into point. We're seeing a bit of a difference in strategy between Sunset Ravens and Acer EU. When Acer was on defense on top floor, we saw them doing entry denial. They were out in the hall. They were outside the point, but Sunset Ravens is definitely sticking directly onto point quite a bit more than the other side. Pixel player takes down Bewares. Mike takes down one, but Tabs takes down Mike and Tactical. It is now 2 Sunset Ravens players against an immediate win from the Acer EU stack. Tonico alone on the point as Dessander's blocked off by an incendiary. Wallbang takes down Tonico. It is just Dessander against an Acer EU 3 stack, but he only has a Knut, no stim, and no utility. This is not a winning situation, in my opinion, Nightfire.
No, and it's a do or die. He has to push. He can't push through the Ensign because they have such little health, so he has to wait. And as the clock ticks down, they'll eventually push into Zadia's line of sight. And Acer, with a clean 7-1, lock in our first map of the afternoon.
7-2.
7-2, excuse me, of the afternoon. As expected, quite frankly. I mean, again, you look at the Acer EU squad, you look at how they've been playing this postseason so far. You'd really have to have, Sunset Ravens really have to step up here. I think you saw flashes for sure from them today, Plague, in some of these replays and some of the wins that they did manage to secure against Acer. And also, honestly, a couple of very close rounds at the end of the day that just went Acer's way. Those clutch moments could have made things just a little bit tighter for Sunset Ravens here. So if we go to a map where maybe they're a bit more comfortable, because that was Acer's stomping ground, for map 2, maybe we're going to see a little bit more consistency from Sunset Ravens, because that's what they're really going to need to win against Acer, because Acer is certainly consistent right now. This is a team that has come to play this afternoon, Plague.
I am going to guess, honestly, the next map is going to be Arctic Nightfire, because it's that was unfortunate for the Sunset Ravens stack, and it feels like they're going to probably go for a map that is something that they're very familiar with. And we saw Arctic, after the rework, have a pretty big rise in popularity. It's up there with Hideout and Factory in terms of popularity. I'm not quite sure. We might have a server change. We're seeing these players drop like flies. So we might possibly have a quick server change. We want to go to a quick intermission while that happens.
Quick shout out to everyone tuning in, because there is a good amount of folks stopping by. We do appreciate you all hanging out and enjoying the action. Yeah, it does look like maybe a timeout has been.
Yeah, 10-minute timeout.
We are going to have that coming up, but before, I just want to shout out everyone tuning in. If you haven't already, hit the sub button to this channel. This is the VRML Network, and we do a lot of VR esports content. You may have seen Orion Drift more recently as one of the newer games on the channel, but obviously also upcoming today, we have some Pavlov Shack season finals that'll be live streamed. We have the Vale VRML Con qualifiers, where 4 teams of the 5 that have entered into the tournament will advance on to play live on stage for a chance at $5,000 for Vale at the Phoenix Arizona State University Media Experience Immersive Center for VRML Con 2025. If you want more info about VRML Con, you can find it by going to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon. I know this is the EU region, so it may be difficult for you folks to get over to the Phoenix Arizona State University Media Experience Immersive Center, but if you can, it is going to be, I think, one of our largest events that we have hosted yet. With 5 games, Pavlov, Breachers, Vale, Onward, and Orion Drift all day Sunday, playing out across tournaments, all with $5,000 in cash prizing, except for Onward, for a total of 20 grand to be earned over the weekend in just cash. On top of this, we also have giveaways going on. If you just register for a team right now, if you were to sign up with Breachers, if you were to have tickets, you found another team, there are 5 players that had tickets, and you created a team and registered for a team right now for the Breachers qualifier, which is coming up soon enough next month for Breachers, you will get entered into an exclusive giveaway that we are doing just for teams that register into the tournament. So a chance to win HyperX gear for registering, a chance to win $5,000 in cash, and HyperX prizing also going to the top teams for all of these tournaments. So it's a lot on the line at the end of the day. And if you want more details, again, you can go to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon or vrmlcon.com. We appreciate, again, everyone that is tuning in from the EU region, and we'll hope to eventually have a VRML event over in the EU space, but for now it's a little tough.
They do have their own community ones.
For sure, the Duckman Land has been a great event that did have Breachers featured at it, and Orion Drift, a bunch of games there. There's a lot of good EU community growth going on, which we do also love to see. So again, shout out to everyone tuning in. Be sure to come back and stick around for more action, because we are going to go to a brief ad break, and when we come back, it will be round number 2 in this best of 3. And a reminder, we have one more best of 3 after this, so plenty of action ahead of us.
Prepare to start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. And somebody spotted in the bottom, going absolutely crazy, getting the 2-way.
Wow.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Breachers VRML Season 4 EU Final Four. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by my co-caster Plague Doctor. And Plague, today we do have the best of the best battling it out. Acer EU sitting at 1 seed, where Sunset Ravens at number 4, and already a map done in this best of 3 if you are just tuning in. It wasn't on Factory, we'll update that. It was on Dam for map 1, and we do actually have bans now for the other maps, so we do have an idea of where we're standing at on what we should expect in terms of map picks this afternoon. Plague, what is available for map 2 here?
Well, we were looking at the bans. Hideout was banned by Acer. Arctic was banned by Sunset Ravens. And I was talking about that on the previous map that, we could see Arctic, but I guess not. We're actually going to be seeing our second map for the day, which is going to be Ship. We have Sunset Ravens on defense, Acer on offense. And after the rework of Ship, we did see a bit of an uptick in the popularity after obviously some grumbling from the community, because we don't typically like the reworks in the beginning. It just doesn't typically go over well, but
ruins your perfect strategies and all your pixel perfect angles.
Yeah, they've finished out in the end. We've had some good times with the reworks. Speaking of which, heading into birthing, this is going to be the meta push forming up from the Acer EU stack. They're going into this relatively confidently. I think we see some roster changes from the Sunset Raven side, trying to just recollect. They're down a map, but they're not out of the count. They're not down for the count yet. Desander hoping to hold down the back hall with Mike sitting behind the box here. We're going to see Acer trying to go for a bit of a split push, possibly going for a hatch, actually, with 2 of their players up top near the window.
Yeah, we've got that 2-3 split going on here, as they do crack both windows and assess the situation with a bit of drone work. They'll find a static emitter well placed very early on here. Desander with a very aggressive defense, and a lot like we were seeing Acer EU defend on Dam, we're seeing Sunset Ravens getting very aggressive and confident on their initial defensive posturing here.
Extremely offensive. Scottish actually picking up a Taurus for his team, but Mike gets 2 kills on Wallbang, as well as onto Tabs, I believe. Sorry, onto Terrence. Pixel player pushing through on Medical. Mike get taken out by Scottish with the Wallbang, but picks out and gets taken down by Tactical. That is a near flawless round for the Sunset Ravens players, already up because they took out Pistol Round. They're doing well, better than they were last time. I'm hoping to see some fantastic gameplay and maybe my prediction coming true with them claiming this map, but I don't want to count them out just yet. You don't want to do the caster's curse. That's the whole thing, Nightfire. We see it every time.
Now, with how good Acer EU have been looking today, I do think they're obviously still going to be a pretty dominant force this afternoon, even if their matchup history shows Ship as their 3rd best map with a 61% win rate. It's still equal to the win rate of Sunset Ravens on Ship with a 61% win rate. So I guess maybe if there's ever an even playing field for map 2, it's going to be Ship here this afternoon, where both these teams statistically dead even. But, momentum definitely in the Acer's hands, but that pistol round does shift it a decent amount. It was a pretty dominant pistol round nonetheless, but it was a pistol round. So round 2 going to be even more important for that momentum shift. If they win it here, then I think Sunset Ravens have the chance of kind of mounting a bit of a comeback.
Yeah, and as we are seeing them push in, we're seeing a bit of a roam, actually, downstairs from Tactical Pan. He's hoping to catch these players off guard if they came in, but pretty normal navigation push from the Acer side, throwing out one of those buffed flashes. Scottish Ripper actually alone on top floor with the Taurus. He's going to have to get supported if he doesn't want to get taken down almost immediately. Backing up into the point, looks like the rest of his team now hoping to go over and support him. As walls are ready to get blown, we do have Tactical hoping to rotate up the stairs in time. He does have an SMG, which can be said for the rest of them, but 2 Arils on the Sunset Raven side is a pretty strong showing. They have a lot of firepower behind them as long as they can, back it up with some good gunplay and utility.
And Instinct comes out. Scottish Ripper catches the head. Tactical Pan with another. The push out from Adam on the side ends in death. And now it's suddenly an advantage to Acer because Sunset Ravens got very aggressive. A nice trip mine and a shot to the head from the Taurus. Keep things even. Another shot from the Taurus misses onto Zeta, but the refrag from Dissanders scoops it up. Pixel player countering back, and we're into a 1v1.
But now the advantage belongs to Pixel player. Mike D10 doesn't quite know where Pixel is planting. However, Pixel does not have a stim. They're both one tap. You know, Mike can one tap Pixel with the Arill, and because Mike is so low, Pixel can actually one tap with the Omen. And I don't believe there's a stim really anywhere on the field currently. So it's just up to who gets the shot off first. Peeker's advantage is going to come into play 100% as Mike is peeking around. Mike thinks the EMP is an A, not in B. Actually, there is a stim. Mike picks up the stim. He's going to have health advantage. He's pushing forward. Pixel pushes out and takes him out regardless as Mike doesn't check his corner. And that is going to be an Arill in hand for the Acer stack and clutching it up to 1-1. Nightfire, this is shaping up to be an exciting match.
And a stim hand-delivered to him that he'll also pick up. And, yeah, that is a nice bounce-back round 2. Almost as you'd expect from the Acer squad. Now, Sunset Ravens have to go back to that midfield game where they pick up SMGs, a couple bits of utility, and in comparison, we're going to see rifles coming out from Acer on their third round, coming off of that round win. So I think it was because of how they ecoed off of the loss going into this one. It just all leads into now a solid economic advantage and overall utility advantage against the Sunset Ravens squad. So just like that, momentum shifting, and if Acer pick up this one, I think they could definitely start to snowball their offensive half here on ship.
Yeah, and we're seeing the Arill meta really coming into play on the Acer side. We have 3 Arills, but honestly, Scottish Ripper, I'm surprised to not see him holding a Taurus. He's been putting in some fantastic work with that Taurus. Trying to just get some more shots down. Now, Mike is upstairs, hoping to roam down. He might get caught out by the drone. That would be pretty bad, actually, if he gets caught out on the stairs, because he's isolated. Now, Terrence and Pixel pushing up towards the wall. Very spread out from Sunset Ravens, but still holding on to the points, with Adam and Dessander actually going for some entry denial on the back hallway in Red Engine. Adam hoping to peek around as Pixel goes through. Maybe trying to go in the back door. He may be alone with the EMP. Prox goes off, making Tactical push through with the Taurus. Not quite sure where these Acer players are going to come in. They have a lot of utility being dumped out on them. Pixel pushes through, might get taken out by Tactical. Barely does not, but they know he's in the corner now. Take him out in return as Terrence takes out Scottish. That is a point that fully belongs to the Acer EU players. That's Mike's signal to come down the stairs, but is he a bit late? Terrence isn't watching it, but VR Zeta is. Pixel peeking those stairs. He's going to get blocked off as Adam gets taken out. And that is a flawless from the Acer EU players. Now up 2 on ship.
That one stings maybe even more than just obviously a 2-1 win for them to just barrel through, pick up the double early, and ultimately I was sitting on that back line watching Mike. They had a great opportunity to slam the side and interrupt that offensive Acer push, but it's all about timing on your flanks. And if you're gonna be on the flank, you really have to be able to rotate quickly back to your team when things don't go right. And you can't afford to kind of keep slow playing unless you're going to depend on the remaining defense to stay alive, in which case if they don't stay alive, then you're kind of, stuck out in the open like we saw there with that final flank. So again, the flanking really all about timing. They dodged the flash, they dodged the peaks on the stairwell. So they were invisible for a long time on that stairs until eventually they were the last one alive.
Now passing out a lot of utility, the Acer stack is trying to maintain their lead like they did last time. However, we do have Sunset Ravens still in a pretty favorable position. They have a Vezin and a Marui, as well as Dessander holding onto a Knut in front of the door. Mike blocking it off as well. Dessander might get caught out, caught red-handed if he tries to push out and take out anyone coming in. As Tabs and Wallbang go for the rappel, Mike out in the bunks. Dessander does get caught out. I know he has a Knut because he shot off that Knut at the door. Pixel hoping to get some range advantage on him as Dessander pushes upstairs. Might get flanked out by Wallbang Will. Yeah, Desandr's getting live droned. He's getting live pinged. Takes tabs down a little bit. Desandr does get flashed out. That's Desandr down, and actually a Knut in the hands of the Acer stack if they really want it. Might be a good pickup for Tactical Pan.
Somehow Pixel survives as they drop back after scooping up utility off of the floor there from their dead players. Scottish Ripper, a major threat right now, keeping things even for Sunset Ravens as they stick out on the front line of this defense in a risky spot over the top here in the hospital wing. And what a beautiful sequence of flashes there. Ensign's coming down. Mike fends off one, swings for more, but can't quite scoop them up as they go down through the wall. And as the wall opens, Tactical gets distracted, diverted, and now Adam, alone on the push out, finds one of the 3 they'll need.
Pixel sticks the plant down. It's just Adam against a 2-stack of Acer players, but one Vezin against a Vezin and a Marui is not a great situation, especially since Pixel and Wallbang Will are backing up even further. They have a Marui in hand, which is fantastic for wallbanging. Pixel gets taken out by Adam. It's just Wallbang, cool, calm, and collected. Crouching through, but Adam takes him out regardless.
What?
He has time to defuse the EMP. What a clutch from Sunset Ravens, Nightfire.
That is absolutely huge. And plain and simple, Acer just did not expect Adam to come barreling through on their back line like that. And it seemed like they were just surprised. Guns were down. They were getting settled into their defensive posturing. They were going to wait for an EMP queue, something like that, for them to then peek. But instead, it is just ultimately disaster. As we take a look at that replay, the swing in from Adam, just continuing to be aggressive on the swing there. And yeah, Wallbang just not ready for Adam to be that far out around the corner. So wonderful swing out, a good bounce back from Sunset Ravens, and it puts us into an even 2-2 place for Ship. I mean, it was looking like Acer really could run away with things on a snowball economy there, going up 3-1 off of that half. So it's big for them to lock in that round, and it's a big clutch. Those are the clutches you were talking about. We've been talking about. It's double kills like this where you need to push up, find the 2 remaining alive on Acer, and kill them to then go for that defuse, and it works. If you can clutch up those big moments, maybe that's going to be how the Sunset Ravens squad does manage to win against Acer.
Possibly, but Nightfire, I don't know if you look at that economy, but that win honestly did not help Sunset Ravens too much with their economy. They're still only holding on to 2 Vezins, 2 Arils, and they had an SMG, but Desandr got taken down. They're already down on numbers. Tactical Pan trying to take down some players. An odd strategy, honestly, I have to say, from the Sunset Ravens players. They have 1 player planted on A, no one else. If he gets pushed in on quickly, you know, if Acer somehow got their drone into the point and realized it was just Tactical who was in there for the first 30 seconds, they could have full pushed it and just blocked off the connector. They would have owned the point completely.
I mean, maybe in their scrims, Acer only attacked B site. You know, like, I don't know. They certainly seem to feel like B is where the pressure is. Maybe they'd like to be able to rotate out of B, like we've seen multiple times, chuck nades down the hallway and be a threat to what is that side angle, defending that side wall, but from the long hallway. That's what Mike D10's doing over there on the side, but we're waiting on the front here of A site for Pixel, Wallbang, and Tabs to make a move. Acer is postured outside, and they've waited too long. They lost one of their 5.
Now trying to push through Pixel, just trying to get some wallbangs off. Tactical Pan in a great position currently to take down anyone pushing through, but as a flash goes out, Tactical does get a nade to his feet as well as Wallbang pushes through. Takes out 1, takes out 2, hoping to take out a 3rd, gets taken down by Adam. Tabs is inside the point, takes down 1, but gets taken out by Scottish on the refrag. Fantastic refragging from Sunset Ravens, turning a situation from bad into a win. They are now up 3-2, heading into round 6, and Acer's economy is in shambles, Nightfire.
Yeah, that was a big win, one that I don't think Acer anticipated, but to the same extent of, you know, this team executing on a side swap, who knows what happens when we send Acer over onto the defense. Frankly, I feel, since it's Sunset Ravens' best map, we could be seeing a bit of a stronger offensive half from Sunset Ravens than when we did when they were pushing Acer on Damn. To that end, you know, if suddenly kind of a bit of a role reversal and we do get a map 2 win into Sunset's Ravens' hands, we are going to go to that 3rd map to decide this series. And then after this, we still have more action. IV versus Valiants, or Valiant, is that it?
Yes.
Right? Valiants EU. Yeah, another best of 3 So today, packed with EU action. And then at 3 p.m. PST, we do have the NA half of things. The NA top 4. Martini will be joining Play Doctor and Shimi Marui for a great series there of a great 2 best of 3 there to find out who is going to be in the NA finals for Season 4. So a lot of Breachers action ahead of us. Then we also have Pavlov action on the stream and Veil stuff. So VRML Network is live as kills come through from Terrence, the tactical pan.
Mike right now stuck in front of these Acer players, gets taken down. That's already a 2-person numbers advantage from the Acer stack, but we've seen Sunset Ravens touch us out as we get Scottish taking down Wallbang and Terrence. Now evening up the numbers, 3-3. Health advantage does belong to the Acer stack, but not for long as stims are coming out from the Sunset Ravens side. We might see a flank from Desander coming out, but he's going to have a rough time if he doesn't get up there quickly as the team's getting pushed in on immediately. EMP going down as Adam gets flashed out, but Tabs gets stopped by an incendiary as Adam pushed out. Very Curious gets taken out by 1. Tabs takes out Adam as well. It is just Desander on the back line hoping to pick up, but VR Zeta knows that he's pushing up onto their back line. Desander is in a tough spot between a rock and a hard place as Zeta waiting patiently. Here's the reload, waiting for Desander, the opportune moment, ready to push out. Not sure where he is. Desander gets shot once, and Zeta pushes out. That is now 3-3, evening up the time and the numbers, heading into the switch. But you're right, Nightfire. We've seen Sunset Ravens do pretty well on this map. They're now going on to offense, which is a pretty strong side, especially for the initial rounds on ship. We could see an uptick in their performance.
Yeah, could indeed. On the other half, you know, maybe a 3-round win for Acer on offense is enough for them. Now they lock in 4 defensive rounds. A pistol opener would be nice, obviously, but who really knows as we do get into the side swap. Said Acer going to lock things down in our pistol round. If you aren't familiar with Breachers, we do reset economies after 6 rounds. And so everyone goes back to the pistols, and then we have that... Why am I blanking on what it is called? The midpoint of the game.
Side switch?
No, when you do get to the SMGs. I don't know. There's an economic phrase for it that I am blanking on, but...
I typically call it a soft buy. Yeah, I typically do soft buy, but that's not really the technical name for it. That's just what I call it. But regardless, we're seeing a drone in from the Acer stack. Sorry, from the Sunset Raven stack. Acer do try to take down the drone as Mike pushes up with that Spectral, hoping to get some kills off. No sight on that Spectral, hoping to just get incited kills off. Mike getting pushed in by a nade, gets taken out by Tabs over in medical. Terrence back to back with one of these Sunset Ravens players beside the wall, not even knowing it. Terrence watching 2 players running directly in front of him. His flash takes out 1. Adam doesn't even know he's there, but he gets saved by Tactical Pan. Tabs pushing in as well, blocked off by an incendiary. Now, health advantage does belong to Sunset Ravens, but Tabs is on the flank. Tactical doesn't know it. Tactical is taken down by Tabs, who's very low on health. Now it's just Scottish and Birthing. Trying to take out 2 players, does not have any utility now, but he's holding on to that Taurus that he's put some great shots down range with. It's very important for Ace to play their numbers. Tabs can get the refrag for Zeta. Tabs does take down Scottish, and that is going to be Acer going up another round, 4-3, but it's definitely not unwinnable for Sunset Ravens. They got some fantastic kills off, which give them a good amount of money.
Yeah, a nice pistol opener, but again, Acer locking in that early half advantage off that pistol round. So gonna go into some SMG buys, and again, that mid game, that's what I was looking for. Coming up here, where we get into, again, that sort of the partial buys, the half buys, the eco rounds sometimes, sort of what we may be seeing here from Sunset Ravens. But quick look at the scoreboard as our scoreboard. Oh yeah, our scoreboard doesn't work. We have to do this one. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, who's fused? Tabs with 10 kills on the half so far for Acer, hitting into the double digits. Scottish Ripper right up there with 7 for their team, and a pretty good spread across the board, honestly. Everyone, you know, when it's 4-3, it's obviously going to be pretty close across the board on KDs, but sometimes you have a team that's just winning off of big clutches, and you do have kind of a disparity in kills, but pretty even series this afternoon as we get into round number 2. Map 2, excuse me, round number 8.
Now trying to push through. Mike comes in the window with the Sander, getting shot quite a bit. Parents getting the kill off on Mike. He tried to go for a pretty aggressive push, did get taken down. Tabs now stuck on the staircase away from his team, but throwing out a nade, hoping to push Scottish Ripper away. Immediately, Acer is up 3 members. It is just Scottish stuck in the back of navigation with a headshot from Tabs. That is a very quick 5-3 lead from the Acer stack.
Yeah, and this is the snowball that we saw on the other side when we went into the other half on map 1 on Dam. You know, sometimes Acer have a weak half, but they always have what seems to be a strong side. And so maybe this is their strong side on defense, because that was certainly solid. And, you know, we did see good defense even from Acer on Dam as well. Well, obviously their best map, but very similar style of being very aggressive early, like where we are seeing these early trades come in favor of Acer, and it's just setting back Sunset Ravens too much.
Yeah, and now we're seeing Sunset Ravens down so many rounds. It's got to be a bit demoralizing, but I hope they can stick with it. They still have the money to get this off. Meanwhile, we're seeing an RCP and a Viper and an Omen come out from the Acer side. It looks like they're going for a bit of a soft save in order to go for all rifles that next round. Could work out, especially on bottom floor. They can still get this down. Wallbang Will and Tabs holding it down, putting some, looks like some trip mines down as VR Zeta is on back stairs. We didn't see that work out for Mike last time, but perhaps it's going to be a bit of a different strategy. We're actually seeing possibly a split push as Desander and Adam are both near B side. They don't have the EMP, however. It looks like they're maybe going for a bit of a distraction play with a wall blow. Pixel will be there to interrupt if they do get there.
Terrence also able to reinforce Pixel over the top if needed, as they do come over and will need to reinforce Pixel because Pixel goes down. Nice nade chucked to the back line. Adam gonna just barely avoid it. Does get caught out a bit, and the Ensign gonna slow down any advancement through that doorway. So Desander and Adam say no thanks. We won't be pushing that anymore. They drop back to reinforce the rest of their team, and it's gonna be a 5-4 advantage to Sunset Ravens. 5-3.
Now, yeah, 5-3 advantage is a rough one. Desander and Adam holding it down. Acer trying to just get these rounds off as Zeta, Wallbang, and Tabs. All three just trying to hold these points down. They need to group up, honestly. We're seeing Wallbang alone on the other point. I feel like playing together is going to be a much better situation than splitting up, because now they're leaving themselves on a 2v4 rather than a 3v4 when the push comes onto the A point.
Yeah, and as long as Sunset Ravens stay stacked and do work together, don't go in one at a time, they may have a shot, but they are losing one at a time as Mike finally picks off Zadia from getting aggressive. Tabs and Wallbang Will on the back line now, just Wallbang Will as Adam finds Tabs, but they go down quickly for their aggression. Now Mike and Tactical Pan on A site, 45 seconds left, rotating around. They're even aware that Will has managed to make this swing. Who knows? Will is staying very tucked in and quiet. They're going to stay crouched down. They're going to re-peek out with a double stack, but Mike and Tactical Pan working together overcome this Acer defense for their first round on the attack and chipping away at that 2-point lead. Now only a 1-point lead with a few rounds left. We could be going to overtime, and maybe it's going to come down to a clutch win for Sunset Ravens to take us to a map 3.
We'll see if they can, honestly. 5-4 lead, but the economy on Acer is looking, there's no other word for it, Nightfire. It's looking abysmal, honestly. They do have rifles, but they only have, what, an incendiary, a couple defensive utility pieces, but not much else. They're not setting themselves up for success here, Nightfire.
I think one thing they don't have to worry too much about, well, actually they do now, so as Sunset Ravens do get kitted up, yeah, is going to be a lot of counter utility coming at them. So, you know, with flashbangs and nades now as or flashbangs in particular, as a very effective tool for more aggressive pushes, I do think this round could pose as a good opportunity for Sunset Ravens to get aggressive, but that's hard to do. When you're down a map 7-2 and you're down a point here in map 2, like you're staring down the end of your season, or at the very least getting knocked down to the 3rd place series tomorrow.
Yeah. Pushing through with a Marui. Mike just trying to get any hits off he can as Pixel is on the stairs. just watching and waiting for anyone to just peek out. Abs may actually go for a lean out on a medical. I'm not quite sure. Tactical is going for the drone for his team. They might go for a hatch play or pushing downstairs as Mike and Scottish push through. Terrence ready on the back line in case they push through berthing as well. Good defense from Acer set up so far, but I don't think they're expecting this many roams from the Sunset Raven side. They're split up over 3 places on the map.
Yeah, and Mike, Ripper getting aggressive here. They've run into their first real utility slowdown. There's going to be that or there. That Terrence is just on the other side of, could easily pop out and be a threat to Mike or Scottish. And as soon as shots do start to connect onto that door blocker, they are going to know, obviously, that this push is coming in. So as the pings come in from the drone, which was looking under, the shots come in from Mike, and that's beautiful coordination. They identify the defender on the other side. They instantly break down the wall together with their rifles, and then the shots continue to flow in from Mike to catch the kill all along with the drone work to assess where that defender is. Now Wallbang Will's going to reinforce. They'll go down for trying to push out. Mike scoops up that kill. Adam on the back line finds tabs, and just like that, Sunset Ravens 4 alive, barreling through on this Acer defense. This is looking good.
Especially with Zeta holding on to a Vezin and a Stim. No other utility. They could get a plant down for free as long as they have someone covering them. Mike looking to push in immediately. A Scottish and Tactical watch on the wall breach. And Zeta gets pre-fired by Scottish. That is now a 5-5 tie-up. But the rifles on the Sunset Raven side is setting themselves up fantastic for these future rounds. Disander can get a rifle that's a full buy with so much money to spare. Meanwhile, the Acer stack has no choice but to go for Arils and SMGs. They're going to be maybe going for a pistol save, honestly, on tabs, but they're set up to maybe go 5-6 Nightfire. We could be looking at a map 3 because of the clutch up from Sunset Ravens.
I mean, they're going for the buy here. They're not going to have... If they win, do they get it? Do they have enough? I don't even know. If they win this next round, I don't even know if they'll have enough for a full buy. They might. But it's going to be pretty dang close in comparison to the point Sunset Ravens very good on economy for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one from Acer. The buy seems, the investment here seems risky, if anything. But obviously also allowing your teammate, your opponent to just kind of take their 6th point and take you to map point is kind of like maybe hard for Acer to really swallow, the hard pill to swallow. So they are just going to try something here, which is get very aggressive.
Habs pushing out immediately, gets taken out. This is not a good start for the Acer stack. Could have honestly gone down 2 players as Pixel pushed out from the other side as well. That is going to be a great pickup for Sunset Ravens, and a bad situation for Acer as Wallbang Will might get taken down as well. He's on the other side of the wall. He might get droned out by Tactical already. Does take out one, but gets taken out by Mike D10. That is immediately, again, a 1v4, and VR Zeta isn't even on point. Could honestly get droned out, gets blind fired by Adam. It's just Zeta now low on health, holding onto a Viper against a 4-stack of Sunset Ravens players holding rifles. This is not a winnable situation, Nightfire, not even with amount of utility. There's no utility in hand. Meanwhile, there are still flashes on the Sunset Ravens side.
Yeah, it feels like maybe that investment in SMGs wasn't worth it, but we'll take a look at the economy off of that loss, because if you don't know, the way this game works is you get consecutive loss bonuses. So the more you lose in a row, the more you get the next round in cash to work with. It's a way of trying to reinforce teams that are maybe having a tough time on economy or managing it against a stronger opponent, or a opponent that's on a bit of a snowball here, as we're seeing Sunset Ravens snowball us into what could be another map. Map 2 here definitely in their favor, 6-5, and because they've managed their economy in the way that they have, Acer is going big into this round on the rifles and sort of the utility.
They don't have much, Nightfire, and I'm seeing in the chat some people talking about Rise saying 1v4 curse on one of those past rounds, and I don't know if I've seen that, Nightfire. Regardless, we're going into it here. Acer's back is against the wall by all intents and purposes. If they do win this round, they will be up on score. They'll be able to choose the side they want to do for our overtime, which, if you haven't tuned in since our last postseason. We do have overtime now. We won't have to have any, ties. We can now see who wins just definitely.
It's the beautiful thing for the regular season,
It's
and
fantastic.
for it to be in the postseason, it just makes things that much more on edge. You know you're not going to end up with sort of a half win, and that no matter where you end up, someone's going to come out on top in a best-of-3 series. So it makes it, I think, a little bit more tense as we are into this moment where Acer still have an opportunity. They still have a chance of bouncing back. Just got to defend this round to take us to OT.
Nightfire, I have to say, I'm not a fan of the defense style of Acer currently. They're really trying to go for one-on-one, one-on-two situations. They're spread out. They can't get each other's refrag. Pixel did take down one, but now he's down especially low, and he can't really escape. He's going to get taken down by this nade. Yeah, Desander takes him down with a nade because just 1 health. They couldn't get the refrag either as Terrence was way too far away. These Acer players are extremely spread out. They're kind of counting on their gunplay, just supporting them alone, but numbers is where it's at, especially when you're down this many points. You can't leave it up to chance.
Minute 10 on the clock, and it's a bit of a slower SR squad. We've seen them push in a little bit more aggressively here as Zeta catches one over the top. The push coming in from the trio. Zeta will go down, so it evens the odds back to a 3-3. Terrence goes down. Wallbang Will still tucked into A site, and Tabs on the flank could be a major threat here as the Insins come in and the wall opens up. Tabs going to execute on their flank. Is it going to be in time? It's too slow. The plant's coming in. Scottish Ripper finds the on-site defense. Tabs is alone.
Tabs takes down one, trying to take down Mike as well. Doesn't quite know where he is. Sees him behind the bomb. Potential for a clutch, just has to take down Desander. However, he doesn't have a lot of time. Desander thinking he's going around the wrong way, and Tabs takes him out. That's a clutch from Acer. They're going to be up points, just up 300 points-ish. Getting the EMP down as well is going to give them the clutch for OT. Now, they get to choose offense or defense. That was nearly just the end of it, but they clutched that out. I'm guessing Acer is going to be choosing the offense. They had some fantastic rounds there. They've barely been clutching out this defense. And indeed, they have chosen offense. It all comes down to this, Nightfire.
I cannot believe that this is coming down to OT. I thought it would be the other way around, honestly. I thought it would be Sunset Ravens taking us into that OT. I thought they would be down and they would be clutching up. Instead, it's Sunset Ravens on the cusp of taking us to another map 3. Not quite able to lock it in yet. They have one more opportunity here. This is do or die for this Sunset Ravens squad. Dying, meaning they go down to 3rd place series tomorrow and do not have a chance at 1st or 2nd place in the grand finals. That's what's on the line at the end of the day, and it's got to be at the back of their mind. If you're on the Sunset Ravens squad, you got to be thinking, geez, our chances at 1st and 2nd, they could be over with here if we lose this next round.
And what a climactic floor to have that finale on, Nightfire. This top floor is going to be interesting, especially since we saw Sunset Ravens, their strategy at this time, on top floor was leaving just 1 or 2 players over on the A side, having full coverage on B. We'll see if that works out. Now Desander about to get pushed in on it, as well as Tactical in the back of the point. Scottish pushes in as well, knowing that these Acer players are going to be pushing in onto the A side. A lot of utility getting dumped down the stairs into the back hall and everywhere in between as Mike hooks to go for maybe a back hallway flank.
Oh,
never mind, he pushes into point. Pixel takes down Desander. That's an immediate numbers advantage for the Acer stack as Tactical is going to get caught out on the wall. We'll see if he can get the pick off before he gets picked off. Does take down VR Zeta. Wallbang can't get the refrag off, but an incendiary is going to take these players down a little bit of health as Mike nearly gets taken down as well. They're trying to push in with Acer taking this slow, trying to pick these players off one at a time.
Ooh, Pan gets scooped up there to take things back into a 4-3 advantage to Acer as Mike tries to stay on site, gets this stimmed. On the front line, they'll get caught out. Terrence with another pick, and now that they've cracked the egg, they're starting to break the whole shell as another kill comes in. Scottish Ripper goes down. Adams scooped up, and Acer advance on to the grand finals in a 2-map victory in this best of 3.
Well done to both teams. That was a fantastic match to watch and a bit of a nail biter for us here in the casting booth, and as well as I'm guessing for you all at home, I definitely saw folks having some discourse in the chat on the stream, just watching this go down. Interesting, watching the strategies, and overall, it's been fantastic to watch. Both teams played very well, Acer getting it out in the end.
Yeah, and I didn't end up doing the side swaps properly there on the scoreboard of that last round, but it is Acer winning that round, and yeah, what a stellar finale to this best of 3, but it's only the first. We have another best of 3 coming up here. IV versus Valiants EU. Seed number 3 versus seed number 4, or seed number 3 versus seed number 5? Hold on. I had it here in front of me a second ago. Seed number 2 versus seed number 3. Coming up in the regular season, battling it out for a chance against Acer in the grand finals. Do not go anywhere. We're going to cut to a brief ad break, and when we come back, 5 to 10 minutes, will be more EU Final Four action.
See you all then.
Prepare to
Hey,
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody reinforce? Spud in the bottom, going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point.
welcome back everybody to the Breachers VRML Season 4 EU Final Four. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by Plague Doctor, and we're here for our second best of 3 of the afternoon in this postseason semifinals. It's IV versus Valiants EU. How are we feeling about this series before we dive into it, Plague?
I am feeling fantastic. That last matchup was a great one to watch, and I'm looking to see this one get, be a good one as well. IVI versus Valiants EU. Getting into our first map already. Our bans today, Nightfire, for this matchup were Skyscraper and Dam, and now we're seeing Arctic coming up as our first map in this matchup with IVI on defense, Valiants on offense. I'm excited to see what these two teams will be cooking up for their plays. Just seeing them kind of push around, getting their bearings in this map. Nasty holding on to a Taurus. A lot of utility coming out, not a lot of flashes. Over on the other side, looks like they're going more for just the standard nades and incendiaries. Some teams maybe not really adapting to that new meta. Flashes are meta. We saw that in that last map where flashes were the key point in a lot of those gunfights that were happening.
Totally. Yeah, it's going to be a big element in this postseason for both regions. I think curious to see if it's got a stronger presence in one or the other. I imagine, though, that especially in this series, we're going to see a lot of effective utility. Good throws, and as I say, that Dev tries to throw the EMP up to Savage or Uncle and ends up missing that toss twice. Third time's a charm. Oh, it's stuck. Yeah, not able to get it up to his team. So maybe not perfect throws every time, but generally could be pretty good coordinated effort into tossing that utility and pushing into sight here as the drone goes to outside of B.
Leo on back call with Ran 6 and Extrius both holding down the outside of the point. Looks like a pretty standard play forming up from Valiant EU. They're going to try to blow the 2 walls into the B point. That's typically the meta on Arctic. Leo holding very carefully onto the back room near green room. Now trying to get some shots off as Rise peeking out, goes back into point. Nasty putting a Taurus shot outside the wall that'll give some good information for the Valiant side. There is a Taurus in play. There is a good chance for some headshots. As Fallen opens up the door, Leo is watching quite carefully, but he's watching the vent. Not Fallen, takes down Fallen with the flick. That is immediately numbers advantage for the IVI side, but not by much as a nade goes out. Dev Center gets taken down a little bit as Uncle Circle does get a nade thrown in on him. Flash as well. Unfortunately, I think flashes himself with Ran 6 in the back hall trying to take down Dev Sender. Can't quite get it off with the smoke, blocking it off, allowing him to push straight up towards point, but Rise trading his player out. Savage gets both with the collateral. It is now Nasty against Uncle Circle and Dev Sender, who are both outside point. And actually, I didn't realize this, Nightfire. I don't think that the Valiant side bought foam.
That's a tough one. Gonna go up against this Taurus. Gotta do the challenge. Oh my, that would have been absolutely unreal if it had been a 1-2 tap to the heads of both players alive on Valiants, but it's only one. As good coordination from the duo there. You gotta use your stacked advantage, especially against a weapon like a Taurus, which is very dangerous in those big clutch moments. So a nice effort from IV also on that defensive half, but an offensive opener pistol round locked in for Valiants EU. I mean, this one I don't think is nearly as easy to predict as the Acer EU and why am I blanking? Sunset Ravens squad. That series just finishing. That one actually got a lot closer in map 2 than I thought it would, and so maybe here we're going to be destined for a map 3, but I do think we're at least headed for a couple of close maps and maybe an overtime or two.
Yeah, Nasty putting down some utility. Obviously, it looks like the standard play from Valiants. Looks like they did actually buy foam this time. Luckily, Yellow Mac will be holding on to the foam for his team. They'll be able to open up the points. IBI has definitely seen this play before. They've seen the Arctic plays that'll go through with the drones and everything. It looks like they're not going for entry denial, unlike their NA counterparts. It seems like they're staying more on point just to kind of block off push from where they're comfortable. Leo takes down the drone with Yellow trying to go for some wall bangs. A lot of wall bangs coming out from the IVI stack, trying to get any hits off they can. Drone on back. It looks like they do not have any flankers on IVI. They're just trying to get down as much as they can. Wall is phoned with Yellow Mag, not getting hit at all. Second drone coming out from the stack. They hope to take down the statics on door to go for an early plant, but the incendiary in the hands of Rise may block them off a bit.
Devin Savage working through all of the blocking utility with ensigns coming out to slow them down on both offense and defense, trying to deny rotations from the defense, but also denying the ability to plant. It's a good nade there. Gets bounced to the back line, doesn't catch anyone out. A counter nade on the offense thrown in, doesn't catch anyone out. And the static emitter, still a thorn in the side, but it's not just one, it's two. It's a double stack static emitter that Nasty's trying to play off of, but they'll go down for their trouble.
Ran 6 hoping to take out the person planting, because notice they have no more utility to deny the EMP over on IVI. They have to do it by a gunplay. Meanwhile, Valiants EU is still holding on to, I believe, at least 2 flashes, maybe more with the bundles. Savage putting the EMP down, backing out in case there is still an incendiary. But I think now that that incendiary didn't come out, Valiants has identified there are no more incendiaries on the side of IVI. Savage gets the EMP down. Luckily, he's still in the corner. Now, time is on the clock for the IVI side. They have 55 seconds, now 50 to take down these players. Dev Center pushes up. Mami Llama takes down Leo. Rise pushes out, takes down 2, but now it's just Uncle Circle taking down another. It is just Extrius who gets to take out one more, takes out his teammate as his teammate takes out the last player. That is IVI clutching out round 2 in this matchup and able to pick up an Arill.
Yeah. A back and forth, to say the least. One that comes down to just Extrius being alive. And only by using the shield of their teammate, the meat of their teammate to block bullets. They survived through that, but a nice job nonetheless, as now Valiants are a bit on the back foot. Their economy is okay, though. They didn't invest too heavy into that round 2. Maybe that's a reason why Ivy ended up taking it back, but we are seeing a relatively strong buy from Valiants in comparison to a sort of a mid buy with some SMGs and half buy and one Marui across the board there.
Now looking to get some rounds off. We could see, from the matchups page we're looking at before, IBI is definitely favored to win Arctic. 33 rounds played, 85% of those won, but the numbers don't always tell the whole story. And Valiants is putting up a fantastic effort on these rounds. Now looking to get the meta push in. Dev Center hoping to push in towards Jim. The rest of his teammates look to be up on Hatch, hoping to get down into possibly Cafeteria from Theaters. Ran 6 and Extrius both on Green Hall. It looks like IVI is definitely going to be holding down the Green Hallway as much as they can. They want to get some entry denial in, make sure nobody can flank them or get the meta push off. They're going to be trying that pretty aggressively, but with a pre-fire from Savage, taking out Leo immediately. What a shot from Savage.
Yeah, that one is a nice opener there, to say the least, as Valiants clear out hallway defense just a little bit, but still, it's quickly reinforced. Nasty's here. Like we said, Extrius and Ran 6 right around the corner. The hatch drop coming in from the rest of the team as nades and utilities zone them off from the static emitter, but they're going to need to get rid of this static emitter if they really do want to push down here. Maybe they don't want to push down here, though. As they crack open B site, Mami Llama storms in to get confronted by Nasty and their SMG, who scoops up a kill, gets sent down to Stim, and is quickly healed back up to full HP on the front lines.
EMP is actually down over in the B point, so they can watch it over on the IBI side. They take down 2. Savage takes out Nasty in return, trying to take out Rise as well. Ran 6 is on the flank. Rise pushing back into the A point. A quick plant is probably in the works for Valiants as Ran 6 comes up on the flank with the Taurus. He's put some great work in. Savage is on the back hall. But Ran 6 misses his shots, unfortunately, and that is going to be him revealed on the back line. EMP is definitely going to be going down now over on the Valiant side, getting thrown over to Dev Center. Savage watching the flank with the Vezin. Taurus in the hands of Ran 6. He's still getting a bit bold, coming up on Green Hall as Rise is in the A point, but time is ticking down for these IVI players. Savage peeks in, takes out Ran, losing his chance. Ran losing his chance, missing those shots, unfortunately, to get a Vezin. Now it is Rise against a 2-stack. of Valiants players holding onto a Vezin each. Info peeking out, Rise peeking up and gets taken out. That is an ace from Savage on the Valiant side. Now up 2-1. Clearly very excited about that victory.
I mean, it's so tough to overcome something like that, especially when you get these teams working so well together. It's the mistakes that you capitalize on and can clutch up on, but when a team isn't making mistakes, when they're locked in, when they're both peaking like they were there at the same time, coordinating their efforts to double swing and find that final kill, it's just it's a two-target rich environment, and really does require some exceptional clutch kill. You really have to snap to the heads and find those picks with very little reaction time available to you. So, again, really nicely executed from the likes of Valiants, and they're in the lead here by a point, but it just feels like we're kind of at like a even weird trading field back and forth, because ultimately the economy isn't in a runaway yet for Valiants in round 4. They do have 4 rifles and an SMG. In comparison, though, 3 rifles and 2 SMGs to the IV squad, so it's pretty close on overall kits coming in this 4th round.
Nasty is on the back line. It's a bit of a risky roam, honestly, being this far on the back line. Now throwing down a static to protect himself. I'm not quite sure what the plan is from Nasty. He's made a lot of noise to reveal himself on the back stairs. I'm not quite sure. He takes down the drone, but now he's been isolated away from his team, maybe hoping to get chased, to take people down with the trips as he's getting chased out, but looks like we don't have Valiants taking the bait. They do take him down with the Vezin. Savage getting that return on investment. Mami Llama pushing through. Might not hear the trips as he does see the trips. That's unfortunately not much of an advantage for IVI on that flank. They really just revealed themselves and waited to die. Rise pushing through with the nade. Does get hit a little bit, but not too bad as X-Trace is watching in case someone tries to chase him through. That static is down. Walls blow. We're seeing a very different push from the pistol round because there is, 1, a lot more weaponry on the Valiant side, but 2, they actually have foam that can completely open up the point like a tin can. Mami Llama and Defender trying to just get this out, but they don't have much to work with over on the IVI side. They do take out Mami Llama. Death Center there gets taken down as well. Went for a bit of an ambitious peek, couldn't quite get it off.
Oh.
But a nade will take out Leo. It was his own nade that takes out Leo. That's quite unfortunate as Extrius and Ran 6 are stuck outside the point. Nade goes straight to Ran 6's feet. It was just Extrius. Now it is Valiants against just Extrius, who's holding onto a Vezin, but they all are holding onto Vezins as well. He's been identified, takes down 1, can't reload, and gets taken down by Yellowmac. That is now a 3-1 lead for Valiants over IVI EU.
Again, opportunities arise in 1v1 situations where you could potentially clutch that, but Valiants are doing a decent job of avoiding those scenarios, of presenting those opportunities. They're really in sync as a squad there. And you look at that replay, you see 3 players crashing together on the 1 left alive, all the comms open and available. Hey, this player's here, he's reloading, swing now. And ultimately finding that final kill to set them up 2 points now. This half going solidly for Valiants EU. And again, matchup history and previous rounds 1 record, everything leans into IV being the dominant team on this map. But maybe it's just not their strong half. Maybe when we swap sides like we saw with Acer, they'll suddenly start to pick up a couple more points on the board. Maybe we're going to see a 3-3 bounce back here. Definitely looking good for Valiants on overall kits for this round 5, though.
We're seeing Valiants pretty confident here. They're doing celebrations. Uncle Circle and Yellowmac dapping each other up, just getting some good celebrations in, but I don't think they need to not get too overconfident.
Yeah, right.
They can't get. It's going to be really rough if they get overconfident because they're going to lose out on a lot of economy. Now, speaking of economy, the economy over on IVI is just not looking great. They have SMGs and a Taurus, hoping to get that SMG bonus when it comes to getting some kills. It's a good amount as long as they can get good ones. Savage putting out some wall bangs along with Dev Center and Yellowmac. Yellowmac standing boldly directly in front of the wall. Could have gotten wall banged out right then and there, but didn't quite. Extra's waiting inside the box. A lot of utility to deny the plant over on the IVI side, but they don't have much motion right now to get through. EMP in the hands of Yellowmac. Hoping to go for the plant. Now wall blows, giving them a good amount of insight into the point. Extrius is flashed out twice, but doesn't quite get taken down. Just waiting for the EMP to start going.
A lot of utility with very little results. Just a chunk of HP down across the board there on Valiants. That Ensign does net results. Extrius goes down. Leo, the quick refrag, keep things even 4-4. Nasty with a Taurus kill. A quick Ensign down. We stay even 3-3. HP bars in favor of Valiants as they start to work the EMP plant.
Second Ensign down from Ran 6. That is going to be all the utility that IVI had for this round. It's going to be rough for them to defend the EMP now with 3 people. Dev Center going for the plant, same as he was before. Ran 6 can't really see him, but does take down 1. EMP goes down, but not before Dev Center either gets taken down in return as Uncle Circle takes down 2. Ran 6 takes out Dev Center. Uncle Circle gets taken out by Ran 6, and the clutch going to loot the weaponry, going to loot some utility, and getting the defuse down as long as he gets it done. Looks like he's celebrating just a little bit, comparing the skins on the rifles, trying to get what he wants. And now they are going to be on a 2-3, not quite a lead, but they're getting towards the tied up rounds, heading into the next. Clearly very excited. IVI moves on 2-3, still on defense. Last round, we'll see how much money they have. It looks like they can all full buy heading into this last round over on the IVI side. However, the Valiant side doesn't fare as well.
Big double kill for Ran 6 there to lock that one in, and that's what it's all about when you're dialing in with the Marui, hitting those headshots. Very solid 1-2 punch there, and at the end of the day, yeah, I think this could be IV swinging back into things, maybe even to the point just getting enough points that they need for when it comes to the side swap. They're going to be a major threat on offense. Either way, Valiants, again, can't get overconfident here. It's only a 1-point lead now, and they want to take this 4-2 for the side swap to be that much easier for them.
Yeah. Now, a lot of Arills coming out from the Valiant side with a lot of utility. Mami Llama holding on to double drone. Meanwhile, a lot of rifles coming out on the IVI side. However, again, like we've been seeing, they don't have a lot of utility to deny the plant. IVI has been relying on gunplay rather than their utility. Green Hall still being defended by both Rise and Extrius. Clearly, they're going to be trying to peek through and take out the drone as Dev Sender is pushing up as well. There is a static down. Savage trying to go for the same peek before that did take out 1, but they don't fall for it again. Dev Sender peeking through on the wall breach as Extrius and Rise both on the back hall hope to take out the drone. They go up top, drone gets taken down, but now they know someone is in Green Hall, allowing these Valiants players to push up a little further and maybe throw a nade into the back hall. They do throw a nade. Extrius does not get taken out because the nade gets blocked by the box. Yellow again trying to push through on green, but another incendiary and nade blocked them off. A lot of the utility getting dumped. Nightfire, there's only 2 smokes left on the IVI side. The rest of it is just gunplay from this point on.
Yeah, they've got A or B site cracked open here. Ran 6 suppressed on a long angle and getting an ensign tossed their way. They're going to throw, I think, what could be a counter smoke or something that they're holding in hand. Maybe that was the, I don't know, some utility that they're prepping just in case this push comes in fast and strong. So another instant comes out to zone off Dev for a brief amount of time. Mommy and Savage swing for Rise and Extrius, and that's a nice 1-2 punch that sets Valiant up for the offensive push.
That was a fantastic flick from Savage, I have to say.
Nice
Nasty getting
wall
flanked
breach.
out by the wall breach, not before taking out 1 player as Mami Llama pushes in. Leo and Rand getting flanked out. Now it's just Leo on the box lean, holding on to a Marui and nothing else. Do you save at this point? You can't.
Yeah.
You're on switch round. You have to take out these players. They're all at full health, basically. Savage intro peeks him out, and that will take out Leo, giving Valiants a 4-2 lead heading into the switch.
The underdogs, maybe not necessarily that much of an underdog here, seeded 2 versus 3 with Valiants coming in at that 3rd seed on the regular season. And I say underdog simply because when we look at that matchup history, it definitely leans into IV's favor if we're to say Arctic is going to be the map they're going to win. If anything, this is maybe the most they've lost on this map because their rounds played is 33 and their rounds won is 85. It's actually their least played map out of all of these other rounds. So I do kind of wonder if maybe because they don't have a lot of rounds or experience on Arctic, that maybe that's going to impact the overall performance. We'll have to see if the side swap, again, does anything for the IV squad. But for now, Valiant's in a comfortable lead and on defense.
Yeah, IVI going for the push on Arctic. We're seeing Valiants on a definite just point hold. Not really going for much of a roam other than Yellow Mac over in the back room. Extrius and Ran 6 hoping to just push through, throwing up a drone as Extrius is on the green room in the back. They know there's no one inside. He looks to be pushing through. Now, A push from the Valiant side. They're all on A point. There's no one currently defending the B point. This could be an opportunity for IVI to blow that back wall, but they don't quite get there in time. They don't have that information because the drone didn't quite make it into the point. Now, Mami Llama and Yellow both running on the back wall with Extrius watching the barrel very carefully. Both these players leaning just barely out of each other's POV.
Just trying to grab a little angle, a little slice as we get into the pistol round here. Valiants staying disciplined, tucked in, waiting. Offense to apply some pressure. Waiting to see if Ran 6 is going to be effective. They work their way closer to this window. Mami Llama is going to be in a bit of an exposed spot on that window holding for Ran 6. They're definitely going to challenge this fight. Could be the start of this overall pistol push, or maybe Ran 6 is just trying to draw attention while Nasty works their way through that vent hatch.
Yeah, Mami Llama just trying to block off the window. Nasty tries to go through, but can't quite get it off with the Spectral as Mami Llama just watching the window. It looks like Ran 6 knows they lost that battle, so he backs off, hoping to maybe take out one of that as they run out, but they don't. Mami Llama throws out an incendiary. Ran 6 was lucky to run away, but 50 seconds left on the clock at this point. There's not much for IVI to do unless they can just get inside the point. As Yellowmat goes for the back haul, gets taken out, but not before he takes Leo down relatively low. Mami Llama now rotating through. Ran 6 watching the flank does take him out. Now it is just 3 versus 2. Uncle Circle at 1 health. He is 1 tap, but so is Rise and Leo. Rise does get taken out, but not before Uncle Circle is taken out as well. Savage takes out 1. Now it is just Ran 6 who knows where Savage is. He saw the info peak.
Oh!
The clutch from Savage, double head tap onto Ran 6 will give him the win. That is now Valiants with a hard-fought 5-2 lead over IVI EU.
A Savage clutch that pushes them up 15-4 on the half. Or on the round, rather. On the map, excuse me, as we do get into that second half. But 15-4, pretty dang impressive. 5 more kills. They're into that 20 bomb in semifinals against number 2 seed. It would just be a heck of a performance from Savage for them to essentially, in a lot of ways, carry this Valiants team into a map 1 victory up against an opponent that statistically has the upper hand here. And I gotta wonder if this is Valiant's pick, if it's IV's pick, because if it's IV's, they're going to be in a tough bind going into map 2 where Valiants will be able to go to a comfort zone.
Now, an Uricon in the hands of Yellowmac is a bit of an odd pick, but I suppose it was buffed, actually, in that recent update. So they're just trying to get anything off they can. Meanwhile, all omens on the side of IVI. Full SMG save in the mid-game. Hoping to push through his Nasty. Gets the drone off for his team. Yellow is in green hall. Holding on. He actually throws away. Oh, he's hiding his Uricon from them. You choosing to use his Jesper. An interesting play. Drone might see the trip mines. Does take down the drone. Rise hoping to push through. They're going in somewhat blind. I guess they weren't expecting a second drone. Yellowmac holding on to the Uricon. Ooh, the flash to Yellowmac, hoping to push up. Triple flash. You can see those bundles in play, but he doesn't check for the trips. That is Rise getting taken down by trip mines, the drone. Neither drone checked that corner Nightfire, and that's the importance of when you're on drone, you need to be careful.
Good nade toss. Yellowmac and Dev swing out. Extrius gets chunked down big time by the Ensign, and IV is having a tough time getting through the front door. Yellowmac scoops up 1, finds the second with the Uricon. Can they pick up the triple? No, Leo denies it. Start of something here for Leo. A 1v3 in front of them. They anticipate a little more pressure coming their way that doesn't end up coming through, and wisely so. Valiant's recognizing, hey, we're looking at pushing this to map point off of this win. Let's not just throw away everyone at this final attacker, because certainly Leo not going to be able to overcome a 1v3? Could, I guess, but their HP at 28 isn't exactly ideal for a challenge against full HP defenders.
Savage just waiting pretty patiently on the hatch. He does hear the repel. Looks like Leo probably going to be going for a save. I'd be surprised if he's not going to be going for, like, he's going to be watching the window just in case someone tries to climb out. He does have EMP, but what prospects do you have at this point? You have to do something, Nightfire, because if you're looking at this 5-2, you don't really have much leeway. If you lose this round, he is going for a save, actually, with an Omen. I don't know, Nightfire. I've got $725. I'm going to be up to probably at least a real range. I might rush in and try to at least take out one player to take down their rifles, but I suppose he's going for the save now. That's going to bring Valiants up to 6-2 lead over IVI. I don't know, Nightfire. This is looking rough for the for the IVI stack.
Yeah, I think you got to take the Omen in so that Leo, if they need to, can buy a rifle or weapon or utility for the rest of the team, because this is sort of your do or die round now. If you're IV, you have to win from here on out, 4 in a row to take us to overtime. And Valiants, just on the cusp, need one more. So I imagine they're going to get even more aggressive than they have been here to try and just finish this off. That has its own risks as well. Obviously, you can kind of overpress your advantage and quickly lose what is right now only a pistol round economic advantage. Or no, a 2-round economic advantage. But nonetheless, we'll have to see what they end up doing with this one as we do get into map point for our first of 3 in this best of 3. Could play 2, especially if Valiants have anything to say about it, but not quite there yet.
Not quite. Can't count them out just yet over on the IVI stack. Now, on the offense, they're trying to push through on the meta push. Meanwhile, Valiants is letting them come in pretty much uncontested. They have a static on the right side of the door, but not the left, so really, IVI could kind of just ignore that static and go straight through for the plant if they really wanted to. Door getting opened up. We have Yellowmac just hoping to push through as a nade and flash go out. Yellowmac backs up into the point. Drone checking, knows there's no one in the back room, so they can push through. Hopefully they check for trips. There aren't any trips down, but hopefully, if there were, they checked, obviously. Nasty going through, throwing out an incendiary onto the back box in case someone's sitting there like they do usually. Trips inside the point as Nasty pushes straight through, takes down one but gets taken out by the trips. Static actually gets pushed out, put down onto the wall as Yellowmac trying to get another pick off as Ran6 throws in a nade, takes down DevSender. Ran6 hoping to get the plant off. Not a lot of utility left over on the Valiant side. They do still have an incendiary, so it feels like the IVI stack need to start the EMP plant now just to make sure they can get that incendiary down in time.
This double static emitter really hurting, but Ran6 trying to go for around the corner plant. Can't quite get it as the Ensign zones them off. More utility coming in from Savage and Circle, and the duo going to try and battle off this IV offense, who's looking to just keep things alive and well for their attempt at taking map 1. Oof.
Now, this is rough. Oh, okay, the pickup. Now IVI can just get this down. 45 seconds on the clock. Savage does not have anything to deny this plant other than his gun. EMP goes down. Savage with the Vezin, hoping to push around. Does actually get helped by the smoke, not hurt. He can now reposition a bit and push through. Leo on back fall, giving some sound cues. Savage takes out one. Now he's going to probably try to go for the defuse. As smoke goes down in an inopportune time, Leo is open to push through, throwing in some info peeks. Now both know where the other is. Savage has to make a choice. Does he push out? Does he do the defuse? Leo now pushing up to the door. Savage one-handing while defusing, but does get taken down. 6-3. We do see IVI defending themselves from a 7-2 sweep for now.
Yeah, and Valiant's thrown into a partial buy in round 10 here now off of that loss. They do have backup money, obviously, and they could have maybe bought in heavily to rifles and everything in this round, but I don't think they want to put themselves down that much money. I think they're a little bit cautious of what Ivy's capable of and don't want them to be in a spot where if they lose this next one, they have nothing left to really work with for the foreseeable future. So it's a cautious eco round almost coming in from Valiants off of that round loss.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you have to be a little cautious at this point, because we've seen it happen before, Nightfire, on some of the NA casts I've done, where Valor especially, it kind of happens to. They get pretty confident, they buy very early, and then they lose a round, and their economy is trashed for 2 or 3 rounds, and that can really stack up for the other team. You know, we've seen Valor do it, we've seen Acer do it, we've seen a few other lower leaderboard teams do it. It happens to the best of us. And now, trying to just make sure it doesn't. We do see Valiants just on the defense here. They're not going for too aggressive of a defense. They're just holding it down. Yellow Mac not peeking out too far, not peeking the outside. Rise still outside, droning it in for his team. Droning the back stairs as well, as Leo is ready with the Vezin, hoping to take down anyone who's peeking through. Valiants just going for a pretty point-central defense, other than Mommy Llama, again, on the back room. Seems to be a favorite spot for them to defend.
Yeah, they're not going to find anything on the upstairs. We have been seeing with some roams. Drone work there from Rise, going to assess that situation for them. And let's see, round 10, map point for this Valiant squad, but obviously High V sitting at that 2 seed, just a little bit above them in the regular season. Challenging, and not going to make it easy for a map win here. The last time they played against each other, that matchup history, it was IV winning 14-6.
Not looking good for the IVI stack so far. Only a minute 15 left on the clock. Some wallbangs coming out from the Valiant stack, probing at the offense. An unlit grenade gets thrown off, but luckily gets reclaimed by the stack over on Valiants. Nade goes out. Leo gets taken down just a bit of health, not too bad, but the stagnated push is what's really hurting IVI here. They don't have a lot to work with this push because they're just stuck. Nasty takes out 1, takes out 2. Suddenly the switch as Mommy Llama takes out Nasty, but not before. A 3K from Nasty brings it from a 5-5 to a 1 versus 4. Mommy Llama has to take down 4 IVI players, and Extrius gets the shot off, bringing them to a 4-6, and also able to claim a good amount of rifles for themselves as well. This could be comeback time for the IVI stack.
Big moves from IV right there. They are in a good spot on economy, on momentum. They are going up against a full buy from Valiants, but at the cost of maybe under-investing on overall utility as well, because they are picking up and spending all of their cash on the rifles that they are all donning right now. No one really buying into a suboptimal partial buy. It is kind of do or die here for Valiants. I think maybe if they lose again, they will have enough to full buy into the last round, so maybe it's a smart economic decision at the end of the day, because if they win here, then they win the map. If they lose, then they at least have enough money for that final round of the half, if we don't end up then going to a tiebreaker.
Oh my goodness, this is a bit of a nail-biter, as it was with the second map on the last one. You know, this is getting to about the same situation. IVI, they seem to be doing very well with their back against the wall. It's the same thing we've seen from F3 on one of their matches, where, you know, they play really well when they're back against the wall, but it's so terrifying to watch because they're one mistake away from losing it all.
One mistake away makes it that much harder to execute and be effective when it's in the back of your mind. And I love to see the teams that can perform under pressure as Rise flashes themselves and not Mommy Llama on the inside of that, what was going to be a 1-2 push into the back end here.
A lot of sound cues being put out by Rise. Seems to be trying to distract the other side, opening up some doors and everything, hoping to bring some players over onto the A side, but it doesn't seem to be working super well. Yellow Mac, here's the drone over on the B side. Now Nasty, Extrius, Leo, and Ran6 hoping to push through. There's a flash on the back hall. I'm not sure why, because I think they just flashed their drone and no actual players. Meanwhile, Yellow Mac and Savage holding it down for their team as Nasty pushes straight up. throwing a nade in that will not hurt Savage at all as Rise pushes in. Mami Llama is watching very carefully. Rise thinking he's sneaking up. Does take out Mami Llama on the back. It's going to give a fantastic numbers advantage for the IVI stack, now opening up the wall as well as Nasty is inside the point, but gets taken out by Uncle Circle, as unfortunately he was pretty stagnant in his push. Brand 6 takes down Uncle Circle. That is a 4v3 for IVI. They still have a lot of utility on the Valiant stack, however. They have a lot to work with to defend this push.
Yeah, they took some big damage there on Deb, but Savage on the peak catches Leo, so it's at least a 3v3. HP bars favoring the IV offense as that nade chips away at Ran 6 just a little bit. They'll have enough on the health syringe to heal back up as Savage and Yellow Mac both get blind. Still no movement off of what was a great flash to the back line, though. And no EMP plant. Another flash. Savage doesn't get caught by that one. A smoke to follow it up to zone them off. Yellow Mac catches one. Insin comes in, but doesn't zone Ran 6 off. But Yellow Mac with the triple kill locks in the win for Valiants EU.
Fantastic gameplay from the Valiant side. 7-4 win over IVI is fantastic for them. And that is going to bring us, we're going to be going to our map 2, and they're going to be going in pretty confidently, I would say. This could be the start of a snowball if IVI is not careful.
Yeah, it really could be, and I imagine these teams are going to want to take a brief pause to take a breath and get ready for map 2, but they may not, in which case we could be going quickly into our second map of the afternoon. So before we do, a quick shout out to everyone tuning in, hanging out, and enjoying the action. I see a lot of folks in here. Joshy, Chris, Mike, Goat Boy, Jai Guy, Splixy, Rexy Alt 4, The Fallen. Thank you all for stopping in, hanging out, and enjoying the action this afternoon. I really do appreciate your support. If you are new, hit that sub button. We have had over 2,000 new subscribers join the VRML network over the last month and a half. It's been a tremendous uptick in new folks stopping by and catching all of the action that the VRML network has to offer. We really do appreciate all of the support. It's free. If you can offer it, subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. It means a lot to us. And if you do contribute at the monetary level and do end up going with super chats or anything like that, we really do appreciate that financial support. It goes back in to the VRML to keep doing what you see in front of you, and for us to do things like VRML Con. If you don't know what VRML Con is, it is an in-person live event that we've hosted 2 years in a row now. The first 2 years were in Denver, Colorado. This year, we're heading over to Phoenix at the Arizona State University Media Experience Immersive Center to host what is going to be 5 tournaments for Onward, Veil, Pavlov, Breachers, and Orion Drift all day Sunday. $20,000 in cash on the line, hardware on the line from HyperX, giveaways at the event, so even if you don't play, you have a chance of getting some gear. And if you are playing and you do register for one of 5 tournaments, you'll get entered into an exclusive giveaway just to the players that are playing, on top of the opportunity at 20 grand in cash. If you do attend, if you do get out to the VRML Con at Arizona State University Phoenix Immersive Experience Center, it is going to be, if not our most attended, maybe even our largest event that we've hosted yet. So I really do recommend you pick up your ticket now. All you got to do is go to vrmlcon.com or vrmasterleague/vrmlcon or vrmasterleague.com/vrmlcon. It'll give you all the info. You can buy your tickets right now. You can register. You can create a brand new team. It doesn't have to be your VRML team. You can actually join as a solo player, and we will pair you with 4 other solo players to create your, or however many players it takes to create a team for whatever tournaments you want to enter into. And so, again, opportunity to win some cash prizing and have a great time at what could be our largest and most attended VR esports event yet. So, a lot to look forward to. Obviously on this network, as we do have just today, this next map coming up, but then also NA starting at 3 p.m. Their Final Four kicks off. We also have the Veil qualifiers for VRML Con. So 4 of the 5 teams that are playing today will advance on to play live on stage at VRML Con. And we have the Pavlov season finals. So there's a lot going on the network, and we really do appreciate it if you check it all out. I've stalled long enough, Plague. We're going to our second map of the afternoon,
which is going to be Factory. Llama seems to be their droner. We do have full Spectrals. No Tauruses. We saw Tauruses actually on the last matchup we had, but now just full Spectrals. Not seeing a lot of defensive utility from the IVI side. They're going full offense. We're seeing 2 incendiaries, 2 frags, as well as 2 smokes as well. They're buying all of their grenades they can. They're trying to, get just as much defense as they can out of it. But I think they need to be cautious to not full dump their utility like they have been, because they had that issue on Arctic where they'd put all of their utility into trying to get damage on the other side rather than blocking off the EMP, and that really was a thorn in their side because they had to use their gunplay to defend it instead.
We go into round number 1 of map 2. Been saying, Valiants EU in the lead in this best of 3. If they take this map, they advance on to challenge Acer EU in the grand finals tomorrow. Same time, same place, live on this channel, the VRML network. So, again, even more action this weekend ahead of us. But we're not there yet. We're still into our semifinals matchup, and maybe we'll have a winner crowned at the end of this map.
Possibly so. Extrius and Leo holding down the point, one-handing their Spectral rather than 2, as Nasty coming through the connector, hoping to just block off the push. Definitely checking for a flanker over on the Valiant side, but I don't think they saw Rand 6 or Rise. They're both crouching through using their numbers. Yellowmac is info peeking in. They don't really have anyone who's hoping to check it out. Yellowmac is just holding down the door, but unluckily, Yellowmac is now alone upstairs holding on to the EMP, so if he gets taken down, IVI is going to have EMP in hand. Mommy Llama is up on hatch to get the refrag, now throws the EMP over to Mommy Llama, allowing Yellowmac to fully control the lockers as long as he can get in. They just need to get the push off. A minute left on the clock. Valiants is taking this excruciatingly slow, I would say.
Yeah, they're trying to really maybe outpatience their opponent here, as IV definitely is staying disciplined. They are not overextending. Rand 6 and Rise finally making their move on the swing, and they'll get the EMP down on the top floor. Disaster for Valiants as they have to retake now. An Ensign comes out on the stairs. It's going to slow down the advancement up to the stairwell where they have to retake the EMP, and Rise and Rand 6 are all that stands in front of this trio. They have to advance now before there's reinforcements on this top floor. Yellowmac finds one. Rand 6 doesn't end up getting killed or find any kills through this smoke, and the trio gets the EMP and drops back.
Sudden B push coming out. I mean, you have to if you're the Valiant stack. That's the only chance you have now to get the EMP down because of the hatch hold. Oh. Yellow putting it down to Uncle Circle, takes out Rand 6 and Extria. Suddenly, this has flipped onto its head. It is now a 1v3 for Leo on the IVI side. What a fantastic rotate from the Valiant side. That is huge.
What a wonderful swing. Leo finds a nice headshot to crack open things for this 1v3. Goes up against Circle and scoops up that with minimal damage. 3 kills, 0 deaths. Yellowmac exposing their position, but ultimately doesn't care. Just buying time for Leo to try and bait the EMP plant. Leo not committing yet. Challenges up on Yellowmac, and Yellowmac buys time. Is it enough time?
There's enough time.
Oh, yeah.
Barely. He's probably going to have about 5 seconds left.
2.4.
2 seconds left.
Wow.
Well done. Oh, my goodness. I mean, honestly, what a fantastic reversal from Valiants, but Leo just getting the clutch off, taking out 2 players, no health down, was a fantastic situation to be in, especially clutching it up with, I think it was 1 health remaining, Nightfire.
Yeah, I really felt like Valiants executed so well off of what was a huge initial shutdown on the defense there. IV capturing the EMP on the top floor with nobody home to scoop it up, but little utility, smoke, cross, ultimately dodging Rise, somehow getting for that rotation over to B site and planting pretty clean. I mean, super clean. Really nice job to throw off the team, but again, IV locking in at least that first round on the pistol round, and a big comeback. The clutches are going to be what wins these teams, maps, and ultimately the best of 3s. So when we get into it, Seed 2 versus Seed 3, I think we're destined for a pretty close map 2.
Most likely so. Honestly, I'm surprised to not see a top floor peek out from the IVI side. We've seen that quite a bit on the NA side so far. They peek out that top floor B window like Leo might do, but it looks like Leo's actually baiting it just to psych out these Valiants players. Nasty trying to bait out some utility, hoping to maybe throw in an incendiary into storage. Yellow throwing an incendiary of his own to block off Nasty from throwing anything. Now pushing in with the procs going off. A nade and incendiary combo. It's gonna get a 3K from Nasty. What a fantastic kill. IVI suddenly up 2 players.
Wow, a huge maneuver there. The triple, the instant to slow him down, the nade to finish him off. They couldn't get out in time. The 1-2 that slams home, and now IV just holding in on the backside of B, not really getting any flashbangs tossed. And as I say that, Leo and Ran6 both blinded. A second flashbang comes in, keeps Leo blinded, but Ran6 unblinded, and eventually it fades for no push to come in. Very interesting to see the flashbangs utilized, but then not utilized.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've had somewhat of an issue with teams' usage of flashbangs. They'll throw in a flashbang, but normally if I'm using a flashbang, I'm using it in order to immediately do something off it. I've seen teams throw in flashbangs and then kind of just sit there and wait until the flashbang wears off, and then what's the point in having the flashbang out? But now it might just be a nerves thing, as Valiants is now, because of 1 nade and 1 incendiary, they're down 2 players. Below the enemy team, 3 players overall. Ran6 getting some jiggle peeks off, trying to take out Dev Centers. Mommy Llama pushes up to apply the bomb. Leo biding his time, but does get seen by Mommy Llama. A reversal of fate, as Extrius now trying to take out Mommy Llama. Not quite sure where he is. Does take out Mommy Llama. Now it's just Rise and Mommy Llama. Incen goes out, blocking out Mommy Llama from retreating, and that is Mommy Llama getting taken down. Rise now finishing it out for his team. IVI getting the 2-0 lead. A clutch frag and incendiary. That is the definition, Nightfire, of an S-tier frag.
Yeah, that is a big hold down on this push in at the end of the day, but also a big push in from Mommy Llama DK to cut down on what was a pretty stacked IV defense. At the end of the day, we have, I guess, multiple clips from that or from that round, excuse me, but I think the damage to economy keeps things pretty close between these two teams. You end up having a very almost equal overall kit going out here between these two teams in this third round, simply because there's only been 1 person alive at the end of both of these rounds that we played so far here, or I think in all 3. Yeah, both of these rounds. Sorry, we're into round 3. Now, sorry.
Hoping to blow open the top hatch is interesting. So we're trying to go for a Tetris push over on the Valiant side, as Nasty and Ran6 are inside point. Going off of that very disappointing loss, I would say, for Valiants, it's got to be a bit demotivating, especially after your performance on the last map. You've got to think about what their mindset is currently, especially being down on weaponry as well. We're seeing a near full buy over on IVI, just trying to really, really push up with their money. IVI needs to win this round, or their economy is going to be fully just in shambles. They have nothing to work with if they don't win this round.
Love to see the commentary from folks in chat as they watch the action unfold in front of them. Why aren't we baiting more util? An interesting question that we've seen a lot of teams deploy as a strategy, because simply they don't want what's happening now to happen to them. Flashbangs, utility, incendiaries, nades, everything barreling into sight. But ultimately, chaotic shutdown leaves Ran6 with a couple of kills, and IV still in control outside of B. Hey, excuse me.
Yeah, all those flashes going out, unfortunately, flash their own team, I would say, more than IVI. Now Savage and Uncle Circle left to pick up the scraps of the offense. As Ran6 peeks around, Savage hopes to go for the plant on the outside of Cubicle, but this is a rough spot to plant, especially without any utility to defend. Savage watching back hall, Ran6 hoping to just peek out and take out the person on EMP, as Uncle Circle is getting blocked off by Nasty. What are we going to do on this push? Savage now taking down EMP. Ran6 able to peek out uncontested, but he doesn't, and Savage actually gets the plant off. He doesn't get the plant off, he's just faking it.
Now they're sticking it. Third time's the charm, but not the charm for Leo, who swings out. Uncle Circle finds one, looking for Rand 6 up the middle, but they get shut down by Nasty over the top. The duo comes together in another close round with one person left alive. Two people left alive, excuse me. We go to another IV point on the board. Their defensive rounds just barely coming in, and again, economy not going to be in good shape for IV. Just because they're winning here consistently doesn't mean that they're actually able to consistently buy heavily into these rounds. And actually, because of how big they invested in the last round and because they only had 2 left alive, you are seeing them kind of hurting to be able to full buy here.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before. You know, they needed to win that round, and they needed to win it good in order to continue on that that trajectory. Extrius holding on to an Aril is still down to $450. Rise buying a Omen and 2 trips is down to $675. Leo buying an Aril and a frag is down to $225. If they don't get this next round off, it might have been a gamble that doesn't really pay off in the end to get more rounds off. But we saw this last time. They ended up on a 3-3 with Valiants, then clutching it up from there. So possibly we will see Valiants just get some rounds off from now, trying to just continue picking up the pace. Leo upstairs on defense, hoping to maybe hit out the window. A bit risky, honestly, being up there with just an Omen. You know the other side is going to have a lot of rifles. You're going to be alone and isolated. That's not the position you want to be in.
Round 4. And whoa! Uncle Ron almost catches Leo trying to get a nade out. And oh, Death Sender goes down from Leo's nade that they tossed out the window.
Uncle Ron? Uncle Circle. Sorry, I want to make sure I wasn't missing someone. Nasty taking out the drone. It does not see the trips, which could work in their favor. The trips have gotten a lot of kills this matchup, actually. Hoping to get a repeat. We're seeing definitely Valiants being a lot more careful about their push in. They don't lose anyone to the incendiary this time. Hoping to just push in. IVI is up. Full health. Potential for a flawless as long as they can just get these kills off. Nasty with the nade. Hoping that Valiants thinks they wasted all the utility. Now going for the push in. Mommy Llama throwing out the nade. Sorry, Mommy Llama baiting out the nade. There's now only 2 frags on the Valiant side. There's only an incendiary from IVI to be able to block off the plant, and it looks like we might see a rotate from Valiant actually towards A.
I think it's probably the right choice. They haven't really tried it much yet. And they'll crack it open pretty quick. Savage finds the first kill onto Extrius on the short corner. Rise over the top, shuts down the over advancement into the site. Rand 6 defends back Yellow Mac and Uncle Circle from pushing in. And Rise still here as a threat. Yellow Mac catches Nasty. Other goes down into a 1v3 as Llama tucks into the smoke.
EMP is down, but it looks like they're anticipating a rotate, which could work in Mommy Llama's favor. Rise info peeking out. Does get seen, but not before he sees Mommy Llama. Mommy Llama gets taken down, and that is a 4-0 lead for IVI on Factory. They're looking a lot better than they were on that first map.
Yeah, I definitely think they're starting to settle in a little bit. Maybe it was just a lack of focus out the gate on Arctic. I'm not sure, but this Factory map, for map 2, definitely looking a lot better for them. I gotta wonder where we're headed for map 3 if we do get one, because that's what IV is driving for. If they win here, we will go to a 3rd and final map in this best of 3. If Valiants win, we are done in just 2. So, sure, that's what Valiants are pushing for. Obviously, they're comfortable off of a 7-4 map 1 win. Or was it 7-2? I don't know how I got 7-4. Maybe I did points wrong.
Crossing wires here with our previous matchup, I think.
Okay.
Regardless, it's okay. Now, we're seeing maybe an odd roof push from Valiants, possibly hitting the Tetris hatch towards A. I'm not quite sure what the plan is for the Valiant side. Maybe they're pushing down, they're possibly pushing down orange stairs, hoping to go into the A hatch. IVI not taking the bait at all. They're firmly sticking onto points, or at least the floor of the point is on. Now trying to push through Yellow Mac in along with Savage and Uncle Circle. They're content that there is no one immediately on the flank. A hatch opens. There's actually no one on A from the IVI side. Valiants, it could, if they wanted to, have full claim over the A point, but now they've lost their chance as Nasty pushes in from Connector, and Ran 6 is on the back hall hoping to push it down. But if they drone in and see there's no one behind the bomb, no one behind vending, honestly, I might just push in.
You can overwhelm pretty quickly as a squad at a high tier like this. You know, they're very able to coordinate together, push in sync, and absolutely swing in with all of their angles covered to take a site. It's just not often that you're presented with that opportunity, to your point. So a rare moment where, if anything, maybe they're trying to draw this Valiant squad into this A site.
Wall is foamed by Uncle Circle, hoping to just quickly open up the back wall. Looks like Dev Center is probably going to be trying to go for a plant pretty soon as the nade goes into the back. Leo going for some quick utility. No one's watching the hatch. Incendiary will go down. They pick it up. Setting off the procs will allow the IVI side to get some good information. They can't quite take down the procs as well. A Savage takes down Leo as an Incendiary goes out. Savage nearly getting taken down in return as Ran6 and Extrius are on back hall trying to get the stim off. 5v4 favoring the Valiant stack. They do have a stim as well. They could heal up. That procs is being a bit of a thorn in their side, however. It's not letting them come in silently.
Yeah, and there is everyone here at A. A B site rotation now would be good, but he'd have to do it so fast for it to be effective. 1-for-1 trade over the top. Ensign comes in. Not a good Ensign. Not going to zone off this push as Dev and Uncle Circle come flying in. Dev barrels through for a kill, pressuring Rise, who now goes through the smoke to their demise, and a point for Valiants on the board on offense. Maybe that's all they need. Maybe a 4-2 on offense will be what they're looking for off of a side swap where they'll then go on defense. Either way, it's a pretty big point for Valiants, who are now in control of the economy going into the last round of the half.
And Savage down to an Omen on this switch round. We're seeing an Huracan coming out in Rise's hands on defense, hoping to get some cheeky picks off. Hope maybe take down the drone. EMP in the hands of Savage, trying to go through for the plant. I'm not quite sure what the plan is for Valiants. We saw them on this floor last time. It did not go super well. So it looks like they're trying to go for possibly Tetris hatch again, but I don't know, Nightfire. It seems like going for the same push again might not be the play. They've tried and failed and tried and failed, and now Rise holding on to a shotgun in the back hall. You're later on, you have better economy. I don't know if this is the best push to take, but I suppose we'll see.
Here we go. Final round of the half. Drone work comes in. Hatch cracked open. Rise and Leo tucked into the front line outside of locker. But not really overextending. Rise definitely getting aggressive, but has all the utility to surround them to slow things down if they need to.
Yeah, Rise did take out a drone on the back hall, denying information from the Valiant stack, but now they know he's in lockers, and he's about to get droned out again, actually. Except for the drone goes into the point, now knowing there's at least no one in cubby, as Ran 6 is on the back of the point. Extrius as well towards the bomb. Rise still waiting for the hatch to blow or someone to go into lockers, but currently he's isolated. He doesn't have his gun in his hand. This could be disastrous. If someone drops the hatch, they could catch him off guard very quickly. If there was someone in the back hall crouching up, Rise would be dead. He just did not have his gun in his hand, Nightfire.
Very casual. Feeling confident with their 4-1 lead. Not hearing much, so not feeling the need to pull that rifle up. Maybe if anything wants to go heavy on the nade. And oh my goodness, the draw up from the Huracan catches Dev Sender. Rise playing aggressive here, with now a Vezin in hand and swapping between the two if they so choose.
Savage on the back hall with Rise trying to get some kills down with the Huracan. Here's the drop from Hatch, but peeks the wrong doorway. Now peeking through, takes down Uncle Circle, getting good use. Picks up the Vezin, but immediately goes down. Maybe he should have stuck with the Huracan. He was getting good work out of that. IVI now up 4-2 members Now trying to push through as Leo takes down Yellowmac. It is just Savage who gets one, but now is very low on health holding an Omen. And that is a 5-1 lead for IVI heading into Switch. We're looking at a pretty likely map 3, Nightfire.
Yeah, it's a solid lead for the IV squad right now. Valiant's really going to have to turn on what is quite a comeback train at this point. They have a little bit of wiggle room because of the singular offensive point they secured. But is that going to be enough? Who knows? The pistol round is going to be a big tone setter. If they win it, maybe there's a chance that they can set up a flawless defensive half. If they lose it, they're going into map point every single point from then on out. So the pressure definitely a little bit different on the likes of Valiants if they do not take this pistol round. So a big one, as they all are technically, because if you lose this series, you're down into the third place match and your chances at the top 2 are done and dusted. But if you win, go up against Acer EU for that first place prize, that first place opportunity. Although Acer EU is definitely not going to be an easy opponent.
Yeah, it's a daunting task for anyone. Now, trying to push through, Leo does take out Storage Door. After Switch, there's not much to work with over on either side, but it looks like they're holding down a lot of utility on the defense. Not as much as we saw the IVI stack holding on defense, but still a good amount. Nasty ready with a nade or an incendiary. Incendiary goes down into storage, which will give Nasty a good bit of damage. Mami Llama on back hall might get either droned out or pushed out if he's not careful. Now pushing through, we do see Rise actually on top floor on the roam down, Nightfire. This is an odd one. He's going to be going all the way down. I feel like by the time he got to where the roamer would be, they'd already be heading down the stairs.
Extra careful. They really want this round, obviously, as well, but IV have suffered some big hits. For Nasty and Extrius have gone below half health. And Rand 6, thankfully, shutting down the flank. Mami Llama goes down, but also at the cost of HP.
Now, Nade going out, trying to take out these players as Yellowmac is stuck in the corner. Extrius might get taken out by the duo peak. Now peeking out does take down Extrius. Yellowmac pushing into storage, takes down another, takes down another. That is a 3K from Yellowmac, hoping to make it a 4th, but Rand 6 might get taken down by DevSender. Yellowmac wants to go for the ace, but he just doesn't have the health to do it. Smoke goes out, defensive smoke from Rise and Rand 6, hoping to save themselves, trying to push through as DevSender takes out Rand 6. It's just Rise who takes out 2 with the collateral, but gets taken down by Uncle Circle. That is a clutch from Valiants, bringing them up 2-5, giving them, a good first start to the Switch.
Ivy really wanted to be able to apply pressure from here on out, but they are not going to be able to now. We're not into map point yet, and I feel like Valiants could be setting up and getting their footing on their offensive half here, this top floor objective, one that they didn't really attack well, but we'll see how they defend. Likely IV going to be a little bit stronger on this top OBJ than I feel like Valiants will, just because of how well they did defend it as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how Valiants is going to get this out if they can. They're picking up some SMGs. I think Valiants needs to be careful to not pull back on their save too much. Right now, IVI doesn't have a lot to work with, so if Valiants can get some momentum going, if they pick up SMGs, they can get that money bonus. They can get the, I believe, $150 extra per kill if they pick up SMGs. It looks like they're just sticking with mostly pistols. We actually see a Jesper save, almost a full Jesper save on the IVI side. They're full committing to just saving as much money as they can. They know they're up 3 rounds. They can afford to go for a Jesper save to be in a much better situation in the future.
Yeah, in comparison, Valiants didn't go too hard on this round either. 3 Omens and two pistols. It's very interesting to see coming in. At the end of the day, a limited buy from both sides into this round. Taking things seriously, it's map 2. It's do or die here for IV. They have to win to take us to a 3rd map.
Trips down inside the cubby may save Mami Llama from a push from Rand 6 or Leo. We'll see if they identify their trips beside the wall as they blow it. Mamilama just waiting it out. It looks like IVI being very careful at their push, and they don't want to give up any information. Mamilama does see Extrius' gun. Grand 6 open to push in. A lot of trips go. Yeah, the double kill from the trips by Yellow Mac. They did not check their corners. That's a double kill. Yellow Mac takes down Leo as well. Oh, Uncle Circle takes out his teammate and the enemy. And that is a clutch from Valiants. Again, IVI not checking for trip mines.
Behind the breach trip mines. Oftentimes those are deployed a little bit farther ahead to shut down early entry and slow things up for an offense, but instead they're planted so deep into the objective space that they throw off what was an otherwise planned and coordinated effort from IV. And like you said, the double kill trip mines absolutely sets things off, which then lead in to an overwhelm retake from the Valiant squad, as they come back into sight. You see the Ensign doing good work over on where the EMP was going to get planted. And ultimately, a really nice sequence of defense coming in from what was that Valiants on the retake. They allow a lot of space up front, but ultimately shut down the advance onto A site there.
Kind of getting some utility down for the IVI side. They went full Jesper save on the last one, trying to just get anything off they can. They didn't quite get it off, but it let them save a good amount of money, and they're just immediately reinvesting that, trying to get some rounds off. But I don't know, Nightfire. It's an interesting strategy here for IVI. They don't have a lot to work with. They're trying to just get this off, but immediately Rise takes down Mamilama. Got a bit aggressive with the Knut. That's a good numbers advantage for the IVI stack. They just need to get one round to guarantee themselves overtime. If they can get that down, that'll give, Valiants, their back will be against the wall much, much harder. Uncle Circle in the back of the point as Savage and Dev Center are in the connector. No one in main point, no one behind the bomb, but I mean, again, you don't really need to be behind the bomb on this point. You can defend pretty well with utility as long as you keep your utility. Savage runs directly on top of a nade, unfortunately, and gets taken out. That is an immediate two-person numbers advantage for the IVI stack.
Beautiful opener for them, and they definitely have things going their way, but they've been in this position before and then suddenly lost it all. As Nasty flies in, they'll catch Uncle Circle. No, Uncle Circle finds one. Leo over the top with the quick refrag. The duo inside now, trying to push out and retake. The trio holding things down. They got to be worried about
Rise
the
with
flank.
the flank.
It's too slow. Yellow Max still alive. Gonna swing out for the 1v3, but yeah, not gonna win that one. And IV take finally us to map point. It's 6-3. One more to go, and we're headed to a third map for IV to challenge this Valiant squad and maybe advance on to go up against Acer EU. I think a lot of folks anticipated our finals to be Acer EU versus IV. But for now, at least, Valiants are on the cusp of winning this series. They just need 4 rounds in a row. As I say just, definitely not an easy thing to accomplish going up against a fully kitted IV squad.
Really, they just need 3 rounds in a row to get to overtime. That'll even up the numbers, and if they do well, they'll also get ahead and score. The teams are very even on scores so far, and if Valiants continues getting rounds off, they'll keep getting points up and up and up. Could work out for the Valiant stack as long as they just play it cool. They need to play their numbers. IVI excels at picking off players who are alone, who are, vulnerable in a state where they really can't defend themselves without a player next to them. So if IVI gets some isolated picks, that could spell doom for the Valiant stack. Trading out some utility, hoping to push through as Yellow Mac and Mamilama both holding on to A, as well as Uncle Circle and Savage. These points are some of the smaller ones on Factory, allowing you to pretty much be between the points if you're in connector. So they can pretty quickly respond to either side, but also it's been a while since I've seen anyone push B point in top-level VRML play.
We go into the push. The drone gets shut down by Dev. Let's see. They're going to side A or B. They've got nice. I thought that was a nade. It was a friendly nade thrown to Yellow Mac, who throws it back, says you keep it. They are set up outside of A here for what seems to be an A-side push. The walls are coming down at A, definitely not posturing for B.
Incen going out, blocking off the door push from Mamilama. Mamilama has now used all of his utility as Ran6 takes out Yellowmac, tried to push out with a Huracan, couldn't quite get it off. We see Trips being baited out by the IVI players, hoping to push into Cubby. They do bait out the Trips, luckily, but not before a few of their players get taken down. It is now a 3v3 health advantage now belonging to IVI as they take down another one of these Valiants players. Rise actually hoping to push into B, but Leo takes out Uncle Circle. That is just Savage now against an IVI 7-3 win, getting a smoke down as Rise is blind firing. They're hoping to get out onto the roof, but Savage takes on one, hopes to take out Rise. He needs to start that defuse now before Rise gets fully onto the roof. He could clutch this out if Rise doesn't get there in time, but it looks like Rise gets there in time. It is shooting down in. He tries to stick the plant, but he barely can. He was on the last pick and the last bar, but IVI claim out this round, now bringing us 1-1 map-wise.
Quite a map finale, to say the least. As, yeah, we do get into our third and final map. Sorry, just updating scores here with Ivy clocking in a map win in this best of 3. It's going to be decided who knows where, but we will find out soon enough as we are just a few minutes away from what I assume to be this third and final map. Maybe a timeout coming, but Plague, I mean, if you are this Valiant squad, you got to be feeling still okay about your performance there. I mean, to lose, or to nearly come back against IV on that map, you know, they're in a decent position momentum-wise to go into their third and final one.
You have to be feeling still pretty confident, honestly, with that a big amount of a lead, and especially almost getting the clutch off, you know, getting it back up to a 7-3, nearly a 7-4 from a 5-1 situation. You know, got to be feeling still pretty good about your chances, especially since I believe this is going to be their map choice now. So it's going to be them on a pretty strong situation. Looks like we might have some roster changes out from these players, but I'm excited to see what this last map will bring. Both of these teams could be formidable contenders for those EU finals against Acer. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I know Acer EU certainly tuning in and watching and observing, you know, these strats, figuring out, okay, what are we going up against? Because at this point, you got to kind of deploy all of the strats that you have available to you. You can't really hold on to anything for the finals. It's do or die for both teams going into this third map. So we are just a few minutes away from that third and final map. I imagine these teams maybe have to do a little bit of a charging break as we do get ready for map number 3. But we're going to take a brief break here, and when we are ready for our third map, we'll dive right into it. We appreciate you all tuning in. Don't go anywhere. The third and final map of EU semifinals coming right up.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody reinforce? Spud in the bottom, going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Wow.
Welcome back, everybody. We are headed into our third and final map in this best of 3 between IV and Valiants. One team will advance on to challenge Acer EU in the grand finals for Season 4. One team will be knocked down to that third place matchup, both of which get played out tomorrow right here on this channel, the VRML Network. Same time, same place. Make sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, tune in for NA later today, but also obviously all our other broadcasts with Pavlov and their postseason finishing up, as well as the Vale VRML Con qualifiers, all live here on the network later today. So be sure to stick around, tune in, catch the action, and also stick around for what is now round 1 of map 3.
We're seeing a push immediately from IVI onto navigation, trying to get a strong foothold onto the point, but can't quite get in, as Ran 6 is going to be pushing in with the drone, hoping to get some information. Rise waiting on the window, hoping to see possibly a roamer on the back hold he can take out in isolation. Yellow Mac takes down one of the drones, denying information. Now a full A-point hold, other than Dev Center, who's just watching B just in case, hoping to take out some of these players. Full spectrals on both sides. We don't really see... I'm honestly surprised, Nightfire, to not see a Cyclone on either side. The Cyclone recently got buffed pretty well. Buffed in damage, I believe, buffed in range, and everything else. I'm surprised, honestly, to not see more people taking advantage of it.
Yeah, maybe the desire for headshots prevails at the end of the day, you know? The ability to be more precise and have a little bit more damage means more for a top team like IV or Valiants. But yeah, interesting lack of Cyclone here as we push out Yellow Mac. Catches one.
Extrius holding on to the back hall, might get a nade to their feet. Now hoping to push into the point. Yellow Mac pushing out, does get taken out by Extrius. Leo was not able to help their teammate, but still they did get the kill, luckily. Now Uncle Circle pushing out, does take down Extrius. Rise hoping for the refrag, does get the flash down. With Ran 6 pushing in, now it is just Dev Center who's stuck in connector against an IVI 3-stack. Gets blind fired out by Rise. That is a 1-0 lead for IVI on ship. They're trying to just get this out. And they get a few rounds off before Valiants can get this under them.
See, IV
their feet under them, sorry.
Pretty hyped up about that round when screaming at each other face to face off of that W there and celebrating a big pistol opener for IV. One that, again, is pretty well executed on and pretty strongly secured. At the end of the day, momentum means a lot when it comes into a third map like this. And IV winning map 2 in such strong fashion to now carry it into a map 3 lead. They definitely have a lot of momentum on their side. And Valiant's got to be careful to not let that overwhelm them. They have to stay focused because obviously a real opportunity to go to that finals is in front of them.
Rise especially got some fantastic blind fires off on that last round. He's at a 3-0 KD right now. Congratulations to him. But I want to quickly talk about the push from the IVI side. They're going pretty aggressive on the wall. They're not really going for, a back like red engine push. Yellow Mac is blocking off just in case, but they're going straight for really a split push with Rise opening up the window in the back to distract some people. Meanwhile, Ran 6, I think they're hoping to isolate Yellow Mac immediately, hoping to take him out while he's on the flank. He's trying to get back to point before he gets seen. Luckily, he does get back in before he gets taken out by Rise. Rise now pushing through, has cleared out the back line completely. He's going to be, making sure his team can't get flanked out. I think they've checked stairs. They've now checked the back hall. They know that's clear, but they don't know that Fallen is up on the staircase. He did not get seen by the drone. Could be a bit of a wild card for their team.
We've seen flanks today really not do a whole lot. I feel like a lot of the flanks haven't come in and done a big amount of damage to these offenses, mainly because these offenses are doing so good to defend against the flank. They're being patient, they're cautious, they're observing their back line, all the while pushing forward with great flash work that Extrius capitalizes on. Savage on the short corner can't do much work. EMP goes down, and everybody on the back line gets absolutely shut down. Uncle Circle alive with 1 HP, gets pressed by Rise, who will finish them off. And IV running away with it. 2-0 in map 3.
Well done to them. And IVI nearly getting a flawless if Extrius didn't get taken down. They're putting out a very strong showing on this map. Valiants is going to have to put some work in to get this off. But we've seen this before, especially on first map, where Valiants went down a few and then they immediately got back. They got some fantastic shots off. Now, Extrius pushing up with the Vezin. We have a near full buy. It's a soft buy over on the IVI side with Ran 6 sticking with an Omen rather than going up to a Vezin or Marui, trying to save a bit of money. I think they're probably licking their wounds a little bit from that last map where they bought quite a bit and then they went down. I think that was almost twice throughout the entire thing where they bought up, they got taken out, and so they had nothing to show for it in that next round. I think they're trying to reconsider their economy choices a bit.
Yeah, you love to see teams adapting like that. But what it takes at a very high level to be able to win against an opponent like what they're going up against here this afternoon. Again, it's Seeds 2 versus Seeds 3 battling it out as Yellow Mac get flashed on the back line and zones off, tucks in.
Now ready to push through. We do see Yellow Mac behind the box. Meanwhile, Nasty and Fallen directly next to each other. Fallen gets flashed out, but again, Nasty throwing in a flash that doesn't really do anything because none of his team are in the building to take advantage of it. Fallen 100% hears the cloak go off. I'm surprised he didn't swing around as soon as that cloak started. Nasty just waiting in case someone tries to peek through, leaning through, getting some wall bangs off, but Fallen just biding his time, waiting for Nasty to try to climb in. Now Fallen having to push through. Unfortunately, someone came through the vent. He did get taken out. Now Ran 6 pushing up with the rest of his team. Fallen is taken out, but not before. There's multiple people down. Nasty hoping to get up into the point, throwing a flash in. Sorry, throwing an incendiary, and that'll block off Khan. This is the time that they want to push in. Nasty now inside the point, hoping to push up past the bomb. He doesn't know where these players are. Checks his corner, takes out Savage. It's taken out by Uncle Circle, delivering a Vezin straight to their hands, but not before Leo is going for the plant. It is now up to Uncle Circle and Dev Sender to block off the 3-0 lead for IVI.
EMP goes down, so now it's retake time. As Dev Sender has an Omen, vaults up over that nade, dodges it for a moment. Uncle Circle trying to battle back. Ran 6 doesn't connect, and everyone that's alive and well on IV tucks in. Full HP, 3v1, EMP planted. This is looking like a round 3. Getting confirmed here. If anything, if you're Uncle Circle, I feel like taking this rifle through is going to hold a lot of value, so they should try to just stay alive and fend off any counter push from IVI.
Yeah, I feel like I might be saving in Khan here. If I had more health, possibly, I might try to get a pick off. You know, I could get an ego pick off, but at this point, I'm down a lot of health. That's a team ace. Actually, is taking out Uncle Circle. I might have just saved that Vezin because he had $800. He might be able to buy one, but that would be another rifle he could give his teammates. That is rough.
Always nice to get a team ace and then some celebratory virtual kisses from your teammates. So, nice job there at the end of the day from the IV squad. And yeah, it's 3-0, and again, momentum in their favor. IVI absolutely in control of this series right now entirely. And it's going to come down to Valiants getting at least 1 or 2 on the board here, because right now I'm worried that they'll even be able to do that on their defensive half. It just feels like the IVI squad is in more control, that they have a little bit more coordination, and they're out utilitying their opponent.
Yeah, Leo, Ran 6, and Nasty planning their push a little bit, trying to maybe hit the wall. It feels like Valiants just doesn't have a fantastic defense on ship. I'm even seeing that in chat a little bit. They're saying that, you know, Valiants doesn't have a great defense on ship, but I'm also seeing other people saying that they have a good offense. So possibly Valiants is just somewhat biding their time. They're going to get at least 1 or 2 rounds off if they can, and then really start to show their chops when they get onto offense. But let's hope it's not too little too late, Nightfire. You'd never want to go down that many rounds. Yellow Mac taking out the drone immediately. We have Dev Center actually in vent along with Fallen waiting. Rise goes straight for the push-in on the back hall. Unfortunately, just Edit doesn't get that incendiary to do what he wants. Rise spending 2 flashes and an incendiary just to die in the smoke. That is a rough loss for the IVI side. They're down a good amount of members. This is exactly what I was talking about. Valiants is now up numbers. They bided their time. They were in a good situation to go up around now.
Yeah, they don't really need to collect guns off their downed opponents either, so they don't need to overextend. They can stay tucked in as Uncle Circle catches the kill there. And Leo goes down quickly on the corner. It's a disaster round for IV. And they're actually not going to pick up a single kill against Valiants as they pick up with a clean, flawless win. That's one way to get back into things.
If I'm Ran, again, maybe that's just me being a coward, but I might have just saved that Marui if I could. I had the stairs right next to me. save the Marui, because now $2,050, you really can't buy much. You could barely afford an Arill, let alone a Vezina or Marui. I'm not quite sure what the plan is going to be for IVI. They've been up on rounds, but now Savage and the rest of Valiants are building a lot of momentum when it comes to their guns. They can buy rifles now, and if they full lose this round, they can buy rifles and utility the next round, too.
Yeah, that's pretty big switch in momentum there that Valiants will need to carry in with them to the next half if they can do it. Of course, IVI, not a squad to let that go through lightly, so, you know, every round going to be a challenge as we do look at the KDs, and we see Rise 6-2, Uncle Circle 4-3, both leading their respective teams.
Now hoping to push in Extrius on navigation. Uncle Circle, Savage, and Yellowmac all sitting in on on navigation, hoping to get any picks off they can. Savage gets droned out immediately, hoping to get the drone takedown as Extrius does open up the door. They're wary of an immediate push in, but don't quite get any hits off. Savage just trying to take down the drone. I'm somewhat surprised to not see Extrius just pushing in, because there is someone being live pinged right now by the drone, but it looks like he's going to decide to push straight back to the rappel. Savage still getting live droned out on back hall, but now does the drone does go away as Rand 6 is going to push in. Savage pushes in immediately and takes him down as he swings in. Rise can't get the refrag as he gets taken down by Yellowmac. Fantastic roams from Valiants so far, trying to pick these IVI players off one at a time. Now still at full health. They get taken down just a little bit, but they stem up immediately. IVI is down a good few players. Now with Uncle Circle pushing out, does take down one, trying to take down Extrius as well. He's stuck behind the door blocker, does get taken out by Nasty with the RCP, but Savage is in the smoke. They don't really know that he's there. Now climbs up on the table. Savage does get taken down by Extrius. Extrius is back in the corners. Dev Center does get heard on the drop. He's going to be seen in the back hall most likely. Pushes up, gets taken out by the RCP on Dev Center. Suddenly it's a 2v2. Valiants has now taken down Nasty. It is just Extrius against a Valiants 2-stack, hoping to claim their 4th round.
Yeah, I don't know that Extrius is going to be able to clutch this one, but they are going to try, I think, as they grab all the utility they could ask for. That interesting trip mine there in the tight corner to try and stop a foam from going in down onto that wall. Doesn't end up doing much, as Extrius does seem to look in for the push. Maybe that, or they're going to go and grab more utility and carry it in with them through to the next round.
Again, I think a save might be the point here, but he opens up the wall, does take out Fallen. Potential for a clutch. He pushes straight up. Incendiary goes straight to his feet. That's probably it. Yeah, that was a fantastic Incendiary from Yellowmac. Didn't even have to go out of the connector. He got it straight between Extrius' feet, and that is a great pickup for the Valiant side. Now 2-3, potential for a 3-3 blank slate.
Big map 3 going on right now. For everyone tuning in, we appreciate you stopping by. Hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. You only get action like this on the VRML network. That is plain and simple. You cannot find games like this in VR esports or VR anywhere else other than right here. And what a fantastic finale to this semifinals weekend, or start rather, as again we do have the grand finals and 3rd place match tomorrow to play out right here on this channel, again on the VRML network. There's a lot looking forward for this weekend too in terms of other content between Pavlov and Vale. Not going to want to miss any of it. We also obviously do have more down the line with other qualifiers and eventually VRMLCon, which will be broadcast live from Phoenix at the Arizona State University Media Experience Immersive Center. Not going to be something you want to miss. So subscribe to the channel. Stick around, because right now we're diving into round 6, the last round of the half.
Now trying to push through, getting some, just kind of probing out the defense over on IVI, trying to find out where these defenders are as Fallen is in back hall towards the bathroom. The medical has been a big point of contention overall. Now Nasty trying to pick up a point here. They do ping out a clone. Fallen on back hall, hoping to get a pick off on Nasty. Can't quite see him. taking down the static now. Fallen knows there's someone in the back hall. Peeking out. It's just a matter of timing if they can get it off. Nasty and Rise now pushing up towards point entrance as Fallen is up towards medical. He knows there's someone there. Waiting, biding his time. Grand 6 does get seen, but Fallen takes out Rise, not before getting taken out by Extrius as Dev Center is waiting directly beside the doorway. Gets taken out by Extrius. What a flick from Extrius as Savage takes out Leo. Yellowmac takes out another. It is a 2v3 favoring Valiants with the double roam from Savage and Yellowmac. Grand 6 is stuck behind the box now on a 1v3. It's clutchable, but not by much.
Beautiful snap to the head there from Savage through the smoke as it dissipates. Valiants EU bounce back, and some celebratory cheers from them as they tie up the half 3-3. Swap sides and reset economies. For those that are just tuning in, you've missed a heck of a back and forth, with map 1 going the way of Valiant 7-4, map 2 going the way of IV 7-3, and now map 3 shaking up to be a tied game, 3-3 going into the last half. They're evening out economies, meaning that each team starts with pistols and the same amount of dollars in their pocket, and from there, it's a matter of who wins and loses that sets up the next few rounds. So who knows what mid-game looks like, because it has been a pretty good back and forth. I think we went 1-1 at the start of this on ship, and now I simply do not know who is going to come out on top to get into the last few rounds.
Well, what we were talking about before is Valiants, they didn't play a fantastic defense game, but they've been, they might have a very good offense game. They could sweep this as long as they get some good rounds off. It looks like IVI getting relatively aggressive with their defense. Leo and Rise both on back hall. Leo hoping to go for just a cheeky nade out the door, but he might nade himself again. I don't know if you remember that, but he did nade himself before. He does not, as Leo is pushing up, does not take out Uncle Circle. He loses out on the nade, but might get some hits off Uncle Circle and Yellowmac if they're not careful. Looks like he decides to push back through Vent, leaving Rise alone. I'm seeing Rise possibly forming up to try to peek it the same way, hoping someone's trying to push him. Looks like we do have Dev Sender pushing down the stairs just in case there's someone on the flank. He's going to be disappointed that there's no one there. He can't get a pick off for his team, but that means there's no one there to flank him out. Extrius and Ran 6 inside point. Extrius is definitely watching the doorway very intently as Rise is on the flank. He does get insend off, but not before he can try to push through. He's going to be a little late if he doesn't get there soon, as a lot of his teammates are already dead. As Uncle Circle, Rise, and Ran 6 get 2 kills each to finish that out, bringing IVI winning the pistol round.
I only half saw the end of that because Rise was flashbanged into a white screen, but a great push from the likes of Valiants at the end of the day gets them on the board for an offensive opener. That's pretty huge for them to push this 4-3 chip away at that. Or no, is that right? No, that went to IV.
That went to IV.
Yeah, sorry, I misread the end of that. Again, I was blind for the end of that round. We were flashed on Rise's side, but a big comeback, for IV at the end of the day there. As Valiants, in a tough spot now.
Rise and Ran 6 both. Rise did get flashed, but they both got 2 kills each to finish that out. That was fantastic. They were the last 2 alive. They got 2 kills just to finish it out. And now that brings them to a pretty good position. We're seeing almost an entire Jesper save on the Valiant side. They're pretty desperate here to get some economy, the same as IVI were last time.
Yeah, 5-3 isn't too bad to go down early, and they're going for a pretty big hatch send. They're going to try and overwhelm Ran 6, who's kind of alone at B. As Rise puts some shots through the wall, the B side push definitely coming in fast. Yellowmac going to be vulnerable, catches a big bit of damage down, but does get through into this backside of B side. Dev Sender tosses a nade around. A nice flash that blinds Rise and Nasty from extending out their push. The pistol round not going terribly, but also not going too great, as only 1 kill comes in at the end of the day. And certainly a happy IV squad, but you can't over-celebrate a round like that. You've got to stay locked in now for what's going to be a much harder round 9, where this Valiant squad is going to be fully equipped.
Yeah, full Vezins Actually, Fallen buying down to an RCP in order to get some utility for his team, probably a good idea. But honestly, IVI is not too far behind. They can still get 2 rifles if they want. They already have a Vezin. They could sell one of their Omens if they wanted to grab a Vezin or Marui. But it looks like they're going to be going for another save, and I think that's a good play. You have the money, you have the time, and you have the rounds. You can wait out the other side, not have to spend all of your money, and be set up pretty well. But it looks like, as I say that, Rand 6 does buy a Marui and goes down to $700. Again, this is not unwinnable on either side. IVI is playing a very dangerous game with their economy, Nightfire. But at the same time, so is Valiants. It is crunch time for both of these teams. They need to get some rounds off, especially Valiants, if they don't want to get locked out 6-3.
Round number 9, IV. A 5-3 situation here. Good on kits. And just trying to make some magic happen. Trying to take this series win that they started off so terribly wrong with. You know, a 7-4 opening loss definitely didn't go their way. But now Savage comes flying in for a double kill.
What a double kill from Savage, now hoping to push up. That brings Valiants up ahead on their numbers advantage. Nasty taking down Savage, hoping to pick up a Vezin of his own, but he trades places with Fallen for a moment. Immediately now Valiants is up on numbers and on economy as Rand 6 is pushing in the back hall with a Marui. He's on the flank, but they know there's someone there. Dev Sender getting some shots off. A flash on the Rand 6. He hopes to get back into the bathroom. Can't quite see. Gets picked out by Dev Center. Doesn't quite get taken down. But Rand 6 is alone as Rise is stuck in point. Gets pushed out. Now they can go for the plant for free as Rand 6 has to push through connector. Honestly, $250. I'm saving that Marui.
Yeah, they're going to want it because they are slowly losing their advantage, their lead, their overall momentum in this round. And with the MP planted 4 alive, it's a huge carry through of their economy to the next round with them. So it's a big investment that they made that ends up in a big economic shift into their favor. So risk reward definitely paying off for Valiants EU as they try and chip away at this lead.
It's going to be rough for IVI to get these next few rounds off because their economy, especially Leo, is going to be pretty bad. But with Rand 6 saving the Marui, even if he didn't get any stims saved, he does keep the Marui, which is the important part. They're going to be able to at least get 4 rifles, maybe 5 if someone buys a rifle for Leo. It's not a bad situation to be in, but it's going to be rough. Yeah, Leo, 15-25, can't quite get a rifle. And I don't think they can really buy one for him either. He's just going to be out of luck when it comes to getting a better rifle. But still, up 5-4, they can afford a round. And honestly, Nightfire, it might be just me in this case. But if I'm up a round still, I might just eke out one more save, maybe a Rills even, just to get a little more economy. I'm still up around. I can still afford it and hope I can take down some of their players to really just secure myself the economy for the rest of the rounds.
Tough choices to make at a time when, you know, your season's on the line, when your chance at first place is on the line. We're into the semifinals of this postseason, and it's the last map for either one of these teams. The loser here will go down and play for 3rd place tomorrow, which is not where either one of these squads wants to be.
Yeah, and the winner will be going up against Acer EU, fighting for 1st or 2nd place. See if they can get it. Rise immediately pushing out, trying to take down the drone, trying to get a pretty confident start to this round. 2nd drone comes through on navigation. Valorant, I keep saying Valorant. Valiants keeps pushing through, trying to get a good foothold onto navigation. As the 2nd drone gets taken down, they're now pushing in blind, not having much information on the placement of these IVI players. Walls getting foamed now. It's going to be up to these IVI players if they can hold the points down well. Leo is on Roam. We haven't seen Roams really work out at all in this, other than maybe like once. So we'll see if we can get it off. That nade from Nasty won't help matters for Valiants. Savage watching stairs. Leo just barely out of view. Savage doesn't know he's there. He needs to push up quickly if he wants to get this off. Leo's head peeks out and Savage takes him down. That's immediately now Valiants up on numbers, up on health. Now it's IVI getting taken down. That is an evened up 5-5, but Nightfire, the economy is definitely not evened up. Valiants is set up for basically the rest of the match.
Yeah, in a good shape right now, and like you said, maybe it would have been nicer to be at this point and have a lot more money to work with if you're IVI. Instead, you have to kind of go like a weird buy, half buy here, and then in your last round rely on the fact that you're going to lose again to have enough cash to full buy. So it's not exactly a great spot to be in. A win here doesn't even set them up huge on economy unless they're able to pick up their opponent's rifles and carry them through with them to the next round. So a tough order ahead of them for rounds 11 and 12 of this final map. And quite frankly, we could be headed to an overtime.
It's gonna be rough, honestly, for IVI to get this off. They haven't set themselves up for success. We have an Aril on Leo's hands. We do have an Huracan from Rise, and then the 2 hero buys. We do have a Marui and a Vezin. Not much else. It's funny, their economy is looking like rifles, but their utility looks exactly like a pistol round. They don't have a lot to work with. They have maybe some defensive util, but not a lot to work with when it comes to blocking off the plant. I'm just worried about this push from IVI. It looks like Rise is getting pretty aggressive with the Huracan. He gets taken down immediately. Not much recourse. He got a bit too aggressive with the Huracan. Now they're going to be down a member already. I mean, Valiants plays that very well. IVI already down a player. That's going to be a rough situation for them to get this off, especially as Wall is about to open up.
They were hoping for some magic, some clutch moments to come in there with that Huracan, but it doesn't happen. Guesswork instead, just kind of coming through with shots through these walls, and eventually Valiant's going to crack it open and work their way in with flashbangs, utility, and insins, and that's a nice blind to the back line for Extrius. Completely unable to see for at least a couple of seconds, but then quickly unblinded and almost runs into the Ensign, but doesn't. Counter Ensign comes out to slow things down. EMP tossed over to Savage at B, and Extrius maybe saw that EMP get thrown. They're definitely dialed in over the top.
Extrius getting the defense off on the door, but getting blind fired by Savage. It is up to IVI to block off the 6-5 lead. Ran6 and Nasty now both getting flashed, leaving Savage able to finish the EMP without any worries. Getting their post-plant situation up. Ran6 and Nasty need to play their numbers. They don't have a numbers advantage, but they do at least have teamwork. Ran6 pushing up alone, might get taken out by Savage if they're not careful. Nasty doesn't really have any recourse. Savage going for some blind fires, nearly takes out Nasty immediately. Ran6 might get seen as soon as Savage crosses this doorway. Blind fired out. Yep, that is Savage taking down Ran6. It's just Nasty. I don't know. Yeah, he's just going to go for the save, but he's saving an Aril, but it'll allow him to buy a gun for his teammates. I don't know. If I'm Valiants, I'm chasing him right now. I'm taking him down as soon as I can.
Nasty is surviving this one, but only for a, again, small carryover to the next round. Quite frankly, one that they desperately need. They are in a spot economy-wise where they are hurting. They're going to have enough money to buy the rifles they want off of these consecutive losses, or maybe not. They're actually not going to. They're only going to be able to buy, suboptimal or less than meta rifles. Even in the hands of a team like IV, though, it's still pretty dangerous and effective, so Valiant's got to be cautious. But this one hurts. They are not in an ideal situation here. Thankfully, Nasty ecoed, so they do have enough to get utility.
This is going to be really, really rough. Because full Aril, this is the buy we wanted them to have when they were up a round. But now they're down a round. They have to clutch this out with Arils. And indeed, when we look at the score, Nightfire, if they do clutch this round out, there's a potential they don't even get to pick their side for overtime. It's going to be rough for them to get this off. Now, Valiant's going for a mixed buy of Maruis and Vezins is going to be pretty strong, and also they're buying out every single piece of utility they can. Meanwhile, it looks like IVI hasn't even opted for that. They're missing a couple pieces of utility that could have helped them as well. Drone going out. Leo might immediately use an incendiary. And I'm not liking I'm not liking the defense from this IVI squad. They're split up a bit. We have Rise alone on back hall. Ran, you know, trying to support him. Rise nearly gets taken out by a bit of a careless smoke. We're seeing IVI just kind of spread out. Maybe their nerves are getting to them.
I think Rise was maybe just dropping back for a heal as Nasty and Leo get the double audio transmitter information in front of them. Both of those get shut down, and Yellow Mac now going to try and look for an angle over the top. Rise stays tucked in, and everyone playing pretty patiently on IV, not overextending here. As Rise almost gets killed by the Ensign, they'll have to drop off.
This defense is looking a bit better from IVI. They're grouped up. They're able to get some good refrags off, but minute 30 left on the clock. Valiants has plenty of time as Ran 6 is pushing up through vent. Unfortunately, Rise still has not gotten a heal because it hasn't recharged. He's just waiting for it as Extrius takes out Yellowmac with a opportunistic nade. Extrius does nearly get taken out by a nade as well as Nasty pushing to get some blind fires off on the wall. Savage is waiting directly beside the doors. Uncle Circle is holding EMP. They're watching for a flank pretty carefully, but the no flank is coming just because IVI is being extremely careful about their flanks now.
Nice early pick. Puts them into an advantage position. Nasty's tucked into a tight spot too. Gonna be hard to root them out.
Getting close to a timeout here, Nightfire.
Yeah, 38 seconds on the board. EMP is coming down from Savage. 3v4, 3v2 in favor of Valiants, but Ivy gets the plant down. Devsender watching over the top. Savage holding on. Objective catches one, swings for two, goes past Rise. We're headed to a 6-6 overtime to decide who is going to advance on to the grand finals.
And with this defuse, that is barely going to actually allow the Valiant side to choose what side they want. I'm guessing they're going to choose offense. They've gotten some fantastic offensive rounds off so far. They went 3-3 when they were on defense. And indeed, they chose offense. It all comes down to this. Mid-floor has been a pretty contentious floor so far for both these teams. I'd say Medical has been a big sticking point for the Valiant's offense. So if they can not stagnate in the Medical, they can really get this round off pretty well. They've had a fantastic push in on B. They've gotten the plant off pretty consistently, especially with some blind fires over the countertop. So they just need to do some consistent play to get this off.
Valiants did end up winning on overall score, as you anticipated, even though Ivy won the round. The Valiants do pick into the offense. For those that don't know, overtime allows for the team that has the most amount of overall score to pick what side they start on for this round. The winner takes all, and the map goes to the winner, and economies are set to full. Everyone has all of the cash they need to buy all the utility and attachments on any of the guns in the game. So it means that, again, you're getting a perfectly even playing ground in a lot of ways, like the pistol round, with a lot more utility and rifles in the hands.
Now, it all comes down to this, Nightfire. In, at most, 2 minutes and 10 seconds, we will know who is facing Acer EU in the EU Grand Finals. We're seeing the drone coming in from the Valiant side. Meanwhile, Nasty and Leo both trying to hold down the point. A cheeky set of trips might take someone down if they try to push in a little too aggressively onto the point. We'll see if the drone goes beneath the door blocker and sees the trips. Brand 6 on a pretty ambitious roam. Same as Rise. If there's a quick push onto the point, it's going to be rough for their teammates to really get back to the point in time. This is a very ambitious roam.
Yeah, and Rise still up top, still not connected down from the stairs. Nades and utility are coming in. They're losing on-site defenders. This is not good for IV. Down into a 2v5. Or 3v5, now a 2v5.
Info peak. That's it! Valiants claiming this map and the entire series for themselves. Valiants will be facing Acer EU at the Grand Finals tomorrow, with IVI facing off against Sunset Ravens for third place. That is going to be an exciting matchup, but well done to Valiants overall. That was some fantastic gunplay and some fantastic utility on both sides that got this off.
What a series, what a battle, what a great way to end the EU semifinals this afternoon. A reminder, in just 2 hours' time, we have the Vale VRMLCon qualifiers. In 3 hours' time, we have the NA Breachers Season 4 Final Four. So a lot of action ahead of us. Also, I believe Shaq's postseason, Pavlov's postseason going on right now as well. So the network is hot, but EU is cold. We are done for the afternoon. Tomorrow, we go into the third place matchup and the first place matchup, like Plague said, so you're not going to want to miss it. But it is it for us here on the caster desk. We appreciate everybody stopping by, hanging out, and enjoying the action. A quick shout out to Triangle Factory for supporting the VRML this season and past season, supporting us for VRMLCon, believing in VR esports, and enabling us to do really cool stuff like this, showcase what is one of our favorite VR FPS games to a huge audience of people that are interested in VR esports. And a shout out to all of you for tuning in. We really do appreciate your support. We wouldn't do it without the support of the community, so we really do appreciate you. Last but not least, if you want to get your tickets to VRMLCon 2025, pick them up right now. It's going on July 25th to the 27th. You can get your tickets by going to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon or vrmlcon.com for more information. $20K in cash prizing on the line. But if you can go, we do recommend. But that'll be it for me. My name is Ben Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster Plague Doctor. We'll see you all later today for NA. But until then, stay classy. VRML is brought to you by Helga, the esports manager.